Okay, thank you so much. Thank you
Right.
so much, Puneet, sir. Yeah, please.
Right. Incidentally, actually, kind of one other example which I wanted to discuss is Swiggy and Zomato also in this particular session, because I was having a word with Prateek Pota, who is CEO of Jubilant Food Works.
Dominoes.
Kind of, yeah, right. So, I was having a discussion with him early this week on Monday. So at that time, kind of we discussed about Swiggy, Zomato, and where Jubilant Food Works actually fit in an entire scheme of things. That they've been a traditional food company, and now they are willing to become food tech company. So now kind of what is the strategy that they are thinking of. And so I was having a discussion with him, a candid talk, and it turned kind of into that.
Perfect, perfect. So that's where we are here, Puneet sir. We want to understand, we want to like talk in depth. But let's do one thing. Let's go ahead with the session, and actually we're gonna be discussing all this thing, Puneet sir. I think it's gonna help a lot of people over here. So yeah,
Absolutely, yep. So I think kind of I'll be trying kind of I'll try and kind of embed the stories, the real life stories in between all these slides. But kind of feel free to come up with any question, any queries that you have, and no question is a silly question. Just kind of follow that philosophy. In fact, I would love to hear even your experiences as well that you would like to share, because you all might have done some of these things in your career already or might have observed. So all those observation, all those kind of pointers would be really helpful.
cool, cool, cool,
Sure.
cool.
Oh,
Perfect.
sure. So I'll just quickly start, kind of from the deck. So what are we going to cover in this particular, presentation? In this session, we'll be, kind of going through some sort of marketing analysis. You will get to know like what exactly we do when we analyze the marketing strategy. Then comes Porter's five forces. This is very popular. So if you would have done MBA, any of you, then you would have been already knowing this thing, because this is one of the core part of the marketing subject under your MBA.
And also, Punisa, one more thing. I have like I just shared the link of Porter's five forces on the group, right? And I haven't not mentioned in this slide. मतलब slides में वो five forces बहुत लंबा चला जाता है. So I have just shared the link with them, so they have already like अगर आपने पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा, just आप पुनीत सर उनको link खोल के दिखा देना बस, है ना?
Sure, sure, sure.
Perfect,
I'll do that.
perfect, perfect. Okay.
Sure. Thereafter, we'll be covering competitive analysis, because when you're new to the market, in that case, how kind of you can do competitive analysis to drive some marketing strategy out of it. What would work for you? What might not work for you? Then you understand. Kind of we'll be discussing market sizing. This is super important, because whenever you start with a brand new feature or something, in that case, one thing that your head would ask you, or your boss, or even your team would ask you, or your business officer or CEO would ask you, that what is the market that we are trying to cater to. So therefore, it is important to understand that which all principles or which all strategies you can use to size a market against a certain offering. Then we'll be talking about guesstimates. It's one of the classic kind of keyword, at least in the strategy consulting space historically. So McKinsey, Bain, Booz, and kind of A.T. Kearney and all big names. They actually kind of used to rely a lot on the guesstimates capabilities of the professionals. Now product management is also kind of, this is getting important for product managers as well, because at times on the fly you need to kind of tell your boss. Let's say you're in a board meeting and you are asked, okay, let's say if you launch this feature, then what do you think that what would be potential size sorry, potential estimates or potential revenue for this particular feature. And in that case, you just kind of spend around 10 or 15 minutes or 5 minutes to evaluate a very very broad level of number, that approximately this is the number that we may look at. But yes, from the interview perspective, this is very important. People do ask these questions to understand your kind of broad thinking and analytical or your lateral aspect of it. And these are the broad level objectives that I expect you to be kind of it's more like a takeaway for you. Like, you should be able to perform marketing analysis for any industry. You should be able to apply Porter's five forces to assess any business environment. You should be able to analyze competitors for any product in any industry. You should be able to size any market for any particular product or any service offering. So guys, feel free to kind of interrupt me as well in case you think that I'm going too fast or too slow. I'll adjust accordingly. Okay, to start with, like product marketing, this is one role which used to be very popular back in 2008, 2010, especially in Western countries. So initially, you kind of product roles were relatively less. So people were more known for product as product marketing manager. In Yahoo especially, there used to be lot of people, kind of who would actually want to get into it, who wanted to get into this, and but the roles were of course less. But yes, this role was known. The product role was known as product marketing manager. And why so? Because at that time, a lot of product managers used to work on the marketing stuff as well. Because what company used to feel it does is that these two are very strongly coupled, and therefore they kind of decided on the nomenclature part कि यार हम इसको ना product marketing वाला role बोलेंगे और वही वही रखेंगे. Now, over a period of last 10 to 15 years, what happened that this role as well as marketing role, of course, with the advent of digital marketing and all, these two roles have evolved in themselves. So, kind of product role actually, kind of separated out, marketing role separated out, and now these two roles are being treated differently in the market from the label perspective. But yes, still knowing marketing, knowing all these things are equally important for product team as much as marketing folks. So one big question is how product uses marketing to create value for customers. So guys, this last three these kind of last three keywords are super important, which is value for customer. And this is one of the most underrated piece, but yes, overused but underrated. So value for customer is something that takes that kind of helps build a business which is sustainable and scalable. सो अगर आपने अगर वैल्यू फॉर कस्टमर स्टार्टिंग में डिलीवर नहीं किया और स्टार्टिंग में आपका सिर्फ एक फैड था बिकॉज यू वर न्यू टू द मार्केट एंड पीपल जस्ट बॉट इट ड्यू टू फोमो एंड ऑल, बट यू विल नॉट प्रोबली रन लॉन्गर. The fuel you'll be kind of out of fuel very soon. Therefore, value for customer is what every single product manager focuses on. Now, that's kind of now this question we'll be trying to answer, like how product uses marketing to create value for customer. So these are the kind of top three maybe pillars of marketing in a way, which comes under the segment, which comes under this marketing, kind of strategy. So the first part is segmentation. So let's say, kind of you start, you know, let's take an example of maybe a new washing powder. Okay, let's start with a physical product. Then we'll come to digital as well. So now in this case, the segmentation, let's say, kind of you need to launch that washing powder new to the market. Now, first, you need to divide into segments. That means you need to divide segment market into certain groups, basis their demography, basis their maybe gender, or basis their religion, all those things, or age group and all. Now, after doing that, so that is segmentation, where you know divide market into certain groups of customers. We'll dig deeper into this in next slide. But yes, at the macro level, segmentation is dividing or grouping different market segments into different groups. Then comes targeting. Now, you cannot target all segments at the same time because you have built a product which cannot work for all, or which is not focused to work for every single person on the planet. And that's kind of that is reality. You can never build a product which works for everyone on day one. Like whatsapp kind of created as a messaging platform. It was created at that time for a certain set of users, maybe millennials to start with, because in millennials you would see the adoption power is a pretty high as compared to people who are above 30, above 40 and 45. But now WhatsApp has expanded to every single age group, every single religion, every single community, and all. So they have started growing, but initially they started with a very narrow segment. So therefore, you need to understand out of all segments that you created as a part of segmentation process, which all are your target customers. Let's say maybe kind of in case of washing powder, as we discussed, we will say that since this washing powder is suitable for only washing machines, और इसीलिए थोड़ा महंगा भी है. In that case, you'll be targeting those people who would be a little well off and their purchase power is a little high, number one. And of course, people who have washing machines available. So all those kind of different strategies you would use. And probably after that, you can probably narrow down to only metros to start with. And maybe if it is very, very start, then you can focus only on Mumbai market, let's say, or only on Delhi market. So therefore, targeting is also super important as a next step after segmentation. Last but not the least is positioning. So positioning is tied up with with targeting, because you need to position yourself in such a way so that your target customer group would eventually buy your product or your service. So now let's say for washing powder, if you are saying that this is expensive, in that case, during whatever marketing that you use, you need to make sure that this is being delivered in such a way that this is for a relatively elite people. It gives a relatively premium kind of a feel to the customers so that they will buy a little more. At the same time, you need to make them feel that the regular washing powders are actually damaging your expensive washing machines, and of course, kind of your expensive clothes. So therefore using this would eventually will be better for both your machine as well as your clothes. And of course there is a social stigma which is attached to it. So therefore positioning is super important depending on the time kind of people you are targeting. Is it clear guys, or सब ऊपर से जा रहा है, इधर उधर लग रहा है? कनेक्ट कर पा रहे हो आप लोग?
Yes,
जी
sir.
जी हाँ.
Right. But all these are basic. It's not like this is rocket science and all. You all know all this. The only thing is that if you know the structure, if you know that what are the terms being used in the market, so that whenever you talk to a professional, then you'll not be talking in a very maybe not so professional words. You may be using these lingos to make it easy to communicate with people when you are trying to convey your thoughts around some marketing strategies. Now in if you want to perform a market analysis, so what are kind of things that we need to look at? So there's the list that we have, and I'll go through kind of through this list. So demographic factor, as I already mentioned, age group, income, and etc. Then come technology factors also. This is important, that what kind of technologies you can leverage, what kind of technologies you can use in order to create effective marketing strategy. So technological factors, that means maybe kind of people who are using, what kind of devices are they using, so that you can probably go through digital channel. Or if people are only kind of using maybe their devices only for WhatsApp and not for some other things, in that case probably there is another piece like technology. Even even displaying your ad on TV comes under technology. So in case that your target segment watches Tata Sky prime time shows, maybe it is for housewives of a little middle to upper class, in that case you may use that technology. So you need to understand like what kind of technology exposure your target customer has. Then comes socio-cultural factors like the trends, behaviors, attitudes. So because it changes a lot, guys. Let's say I was actually working with Pitney Bowes during the start of my career, and at that time, what we used to do, we used to create products. It was entirely B2B company. I was a part of their B2B product team as a full stack developer. So during the kind of end time of my stint with Pitney Bowes, for around 6 to 8 months, I worked there as a usability consultant as well. Now, when I was working there as a usability consultant, one interest I actually came across a lot of interesting factors. But one interesting fact which actually kind of blew my mind at that time is that what we were doing, we were trying to sell the same product which we were selling to British companies to a Chinese company now at that time. Now in that case, kind of lot of area of the product of the site, it was a digital product like B2B, kind of digital product. It's a web based product which I was selling at that time, which we were selling. Now the background or most of the area of that website product was white in color, because white actually looks very clean and all,
Not you.
right? Sorry. Okay, so what I was saying is that it was looking very clean, and therefore we were thinking that white is the best color to kind of have. But to our surprise, when we started researching on the Chinese market, we realized in China white is the symbol of death. Okay, so in that case, kind of we changed our strategy. We converted our product, and instead of using white as a dominant color, we replaced it with a light blue color. So you need to understand the kind of behavior and maybe some emotional aspect of that target customer group. If you don't do that, in that case, while your product might be really good in terms of value delivery, but probably the interface or probably the look and feel of the product might be irritating to the users. And therefore, you might lose certain amount of share or business. So it is important. At the same time, you need to understand, kind of what is trending behaviors and attitudes. There are a lot of different, I mean, the journal or the studies around it are unlimited on the planet, but it is important to read these things as well before going ahead with the final plan of marketing. Another factor is economic factors such as GDP, interest rate, inflation, exchange rates. It's important because this actually touches the purchase power of the customers as well. So let's say if you are selling something which is a complementary product to home loans. So let's say I bought a home loan recently. Sorry, I took home loan recently. Now, in that case, what happens? Like if you take home loan, in that case, it is mandatory to take an insurance policy or over and above home loan. Let's say tomorrow, kind of something happens to you, or something happens to the person who will be, kind of will be paying the loan. In that case, so the बैंक should not actually have a bad debt. ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि बैंक का पैसा डूब जाए. इसलिए बैंक इसको मैंडेटरी रखता है that you need to buy a loan. Sorry, you need to buy an insurance policy on that loan. Now, what happens that interest rates actually go up and down, or maybe this loan policy. If I want to, if I want to sell this home loan insurance policy, then it totally depends on the interest rate on home loans at the moment. How? If interest rates on home loans are high, in that case, people do not, or people tend to not to buy homes or take home loans. And if people do not take home loans, in that case, even insurance policies will be less sold because कम घर बिकेंगे, कम आपके होम लोन्स होंगे, तो उसके ऊपर कम ही इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसीज बिकेंगी. So that's how it can impact your product, like dip or maybe rise in the interest rate. At the same time, exchange rates are also there. So exchange rates are there because let's say travel. If a travel market is there, I'm talking about kind of pure and pure retail currency exchange right now, exchange rates. In that case, this impacts a lot in case people are willing to kind of make a foreign travel, and then they see that exchange rate for the Swiss currency is very high. Let's say it's kind of right now it's probably 1 is to 90, it has gone to 1 is to 100, and maybe a little more. In that case, probably an expensive vacation might become a little more expensive now. So probably the kind of hotel that user would be booking otherwise, or the kind of restaurant wherein you probably would have been eating, might be different as compared to probably what you would have done had the exchange rate would be lower. Are you getting the point? So therefore, these are very end user I'm talking about, but there are some big products, B2B products as well, which gets impacted due to this. Now, of course, political and legal factors like the stability of government and all those things come handy from the marketing analysis perspective, because you need to understand if the current government policy, like say crypto, like I'm mentoring a startup which is into crypto right now. So the thing is, right now, if you see like RBI recently, you might have heard about Wazirex, the news which broke yesterday. So I'm not
या
sure कि आपने पढ़ा नहीं पढ़ा है.
जी जी हाँ सुना था.
Right. So kind of
चाइनीज कंपनी से अटाइप किया था, उनका इन्वेस्टमेंट कुछ कर रहे थे.
right. So they have kind of they've been kind of ED actually has given notice for the money laundering. So what they were doing, like they have a lot of Chinese customers or
या
Chinese users as well. So now the money was not routing correctly, and therefore a lot of money was getting lost and could not be tracked well, or on which the tax were not paid to the Indian government. So all those things were there. Now the thing is that if this has been in Slovakia, you may also know that कि स्लोवाकिया पहला नेशन है जहां पर कि क्रिप्टो करेंसी को लीगलाइज कर दिया है.
यस यस सुना था.
So basically, all these political movements actually impacts the way your product is going to perform in the market, and therefore you need to be aware of these things. Let's say for Naukri, if I'm launching certain new feature, and if I come to know that government is saying that let's say kind of I'm launching a new feature wherein I'll be showing PSU jobs as well on Naukri. Now tomorrow government says that no PSU job will be shown on any private portal. In that case, I'll have to remove it. So I just need to be careful. I just need to be sure that there is no rules or no, I would say, no clause that I'm violating while going for a product. So that's how it is. Now we'll jump on one small case study of Flipkart's marketing strategy, and we'll also discuss like why it worked and why probably it did not work in certain areas at the same time. So Flipkart actually is a poster boy for e-commerce industry or even for the startup industry in India. Now, of course, kind of the market has evolved. But back in 2014 or 15, Flipkart has become the poster boy for good 3-4 years. And still Flipkart is going very strong and they are giving very good, competition to the global players like Amazon and other players in the market. So Flipkart, kind of started with relatively less competitive things, which is electronics at that time, and now they are everywhere from electronics to fashion. So they had a very successful run in India till 2015, because till then Amazon was not there in the market, or if they had their development center in India, but they were not focusing Indian market as their target group of customers. They just set up their development center in India at that time, and they were creating strategy to penetrate Indian market. So therefore, Flipkart enjoyed a very sort of monopolistic run, I would say, till 2015. Now they actually started feeling some heat after Amazon entered into the market. And of course, there were other players like eBay, Walmart. Every single player came after that and joined this, joined uh, the ring. After that, of course, kind of few players took even share in Flipkart, and then they moved out of India as a individual entity in India. But yep, they actually had some sort of ups and downs due to the e-commerce players. Now the thing is that Indian original e-commerce giant quickly pivoted in response. So what Flipkart did after that? Flipkart actually started, playing against Amazon. So a lot of things were there, like Amazon was doing sort of some sale or Great Indian Sale, all those things, and then Flipkart came up with Big Billion Day and all those things. So there are a lot of different marketing activities that Flipkart did just to undo the damage that Amazon and other key commerce have provided to it due to their entries. Now, coming to today's strategy. So, about around 1.5 years back, when entire nation went into lockdown due to this pandemic. So, what Flipkart did, Flipkart actually found that this is the time which is probably one of the best to have a good marketing strategy, which can connect with the people, and people will have a feel good factor about Flipkart as a brand as well. Because what is super important is that people should be able to have a feeling for your brand. It runs on emotions. uh, kind of, I'm not sure if you heard of that or not. So Marlboro, back in 1950s, at that time, what Marlboro did, they actually in their campaigns earlier, if you see kind of cigarette campaigns and all long back, you might have noted, if you would have seen, उसमें ना क्या होता था कि आपने एक बहुत ही पॉलिश्ड और एक बहुत ही ज़्यादा क्लासी एक रेस्टोरेंट दिखाते थे, और वहां पे देन पीपल आर काइंड ऑफ स्मोकिंग एंड ऑल. ठीक है. एंड देन what Marlboro did, or their marketing campaign, they actually kind of showed a man on a horse, and then they played on the manliness, because they identified like a lot of people or a lot of smokers, or good percentage of smokers are actually men. So what they did, they tried to connect with that audience with the manhood. So that means kind of people will start feeling that it's a manly thing to smoke, and therefore that campaign was probably one of the most successful campaign across kind of times. So it is important to emotionally connect with people through your marketing campaign, and that's exactly what Flipkart also tried to do, and other brands as well, because they have just took this as an opportunity. Some of them actually genuinely tried to help as well. So this is the kind of campaign that they came up with, that it kind of launches hand sanitizer, surgical mask, and all, because kind of nation needed it at that time badly, and Flipkart had supply chain already in place, like delivery and everything, and maybe procurement and everything. So therefore it was very easy for them to procure all these things and deliver, because they were already delivering, but the scale was very high this time. Now they just continue to do their regular business, but at the same time they could connect with the people's emotional, kind of emotional side of the people. So this is what you can do in terms of getting your brand a little more popular amongst your target audience.
And Flipkart recently announced their like delivery boys as certified vaccinated persons. Like they can show certification who got vaccinated.
Yep, yep, right, right. So in fact, if I'm not wrong, like recently, kind of they have also that actually they have announced, I think yesterday only. I think if I was talking to a friend, so they announced yesterday or today that
Okay.
they have provided unlimited medical leaves to their employees. Now you think, yeah, this is amazing. Can any company do that? But you won't believe. I've worked with ICICI Bank, and ICICI Bank has unlimited medical leaves already available since ages. So there are people, there are employees of ICICI Bank who are still recovering from cancer treatment, and therefore they just could not attend office regularly for 1.5 years. But still, they were getting entire salary in their account because ICICI Bank has unlimited leaves, unlimited sick leaves. So, but again, the point kind of remains that how to market any small movement that you are taking so that people will people kind of the faith of your brand in people's mind and people's heart will constantly increase. So that is something that marketing tactics would do. Big Billion Day already spoke about this. So it's more about kind of choosing a name which is catchy, number one, at the same time, which actually tells you that some festival or some discount festival is coming up. So now kind of this is some cliche, like every maybe every quarter, kind of you would see this Big Billion Day and all, in terms of frequency, because India is a land of festivals, and therefore Diwali पर एक आ गया, एक आपका समर फेस्टिवल आ गया, एक आपका होली के आसपास आ गया, एक आपका विंटर का आ गया, तो आपके चारों क्वार्टर कवर हो गए एक तरीके से. So it's always there. Okay, so let's kind of let's spend some time here. It's a quick question for you guys. Suppose you guys are product managers of a healthcare app, any app that you can take, and your team has decided to introduce a new feature through which user can purchase medicine online. Although it's not a new thing anymore, but let's say kind of you are a part of Healthify Me, which is not into medicine exactly. Maybe you are kind of more into uh, with the lifestyle of the people, or with the improving kind of the quality of life of the people by improving their lifestyle. But yes, let's say as a part of Healthify Me product manager, your team has said, let's say let's go ahead with the medicine wala piece as well, because that is getting very popular these days. Now tell me that two marketing factor that you might come across while introducing this feature. What you would do? What is your approach to the to market?
I think first I would prefer branding. Like I would hire or hire paid influencers or any digital marketer or call a celeb and ask them to endorse it or brand it or be a part of it, so that more we can gain more and more attention through them. So branding would be a thing first, and second, I guess, would be offering referrals or discounts on orders.
Okay, okay. Uh, who was speaking? Can you please voice out your name as
Sharon, Sharon.
Okay, yep. Okay, Sharon. Thanks for sharing this. Yep, sounds logical. Any other taker for this?
Hi, Purit. Rakesh this side.
Yep. Hi, Rakesh.
Hi. So I would look into if the government is allowing us being into healthcare, like fitness and all, and if we can go ahead with medicine supply, if there is a conflict of interest or something, or if there is some like government guidelines related to that, or even if how OTC drugs works in online delivery of the drugs and all, like, so all these things need to be factor while going ahead in the market with the new feature.
Sure, that's a good point. Yep.
And we can showcase, like we can
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would want to introduce this with no cost delivery of medicines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like we can spend free camps, like advertising and educating the customers, giving huge discounts on the first day, like when we are starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we can advertise in the malls, like the gathering areas, crowded areas, so we can more interact with the customers and we can give the offers. free
Mhm.
trials, we can say.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So here, I guess targeting comes into picture mainly, like who, what user segments are we targeting mainly, like medicines, specifically, medicines for any people, or how are we selling, like with prescriptions or without prescriptions, or what could be the legal age for anybody to purchase the medicine through our app. Security concerns, I guess, that should be taken into factor.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Also, since it is medicines, we have to be extra cautious, like giving somebody some medicines, like which may not be uh, selling, like remdesivir on and all, which we cannot sell through these apps, etc. So we should be extra cautious that those medicines are not available anywhere, or we are showing it in the app. So I don't know exactly what this could be called,
Hmm.
the term, but yeah.
Do you think that kind of just building on your point? Do you think that making people aware, like from where all they can purchase these medicines, or do you
Mhm.
think that maybe starting with maybe showing a meter or a real time information generator sort of thing, which can tell you that what where exactly right now this medicine is available with the latest update.
Yeah, yeah, this could work.
Right, right. So, right. So there are kind of multiple ways. Of course, kind of all pointers that you have shared are completely fine and you completely make sense. So you need to, kind of decide that which all factors you would like to start with, because of course you cannot do everything at once. So you need to go step by step. But yes, all these factors actually we should be able to help you. But yes, there are much more. There is much more that you can do, and that we'll be covering in future slides as well.
Puneet sir, I would like to add one point.
Sure.
Uh, as an Healthify Me app, it is basically more into what diet you follow, how you do your weight loss program and stuff.
Mhm.
So if I have to introduce this feature for Healthify Me, like in the app, I would first target the existing customers who are my paid customers, and I would try to gauge what data I have and what sort of medical requirements do they have. Like rather going on with entirely 100% medicine facility available, I would start with this small step by, say for example, there would be few clients who would be facing some diabetic challenges. So along with their diet, I might go with this option, like uh, with our paid subscription you can also get medicines online with some sort of discount. And by initiating that step, I might then further market this feature to the public who is not my customer yet. But I can also, get the testimonials of the existing clients and uh, use that as an advertisement factor.
Thanks, Akshata. Actually, I'm happy that you spoke, and this is really very good point. That kind of leveraging the existing customer base and then understanding the requirement from there, so that you actually have good number of customers available on day one. So this is
Yeah.
really yeah, great.
One more thing I would like to add is, so one of the key point when someone orders online is their entire perception as to how fast they are receiving that medicine, right? If I have a medical store in my locality, and if I have an urgency, suppose I'm running with fever, then I would definitely run to the medical store. So the delivery time is one of the key factors. And other thing is, few people, they order few monthly recurring medicines. So few people take supplements, few people, as someone mentioned, they have recurring medicines like for maybe diabetes or anything else which is an illness for them. So maybe if you are able to target such kind of recurring customers who are going to be your customers for a long term, so maybe offering it at a better price point, or telling them that you will get this at every first of the month. So I mean, such kind of things also could be factored in, is something like, I think. can work.
Of course, yep.
I have a different view over here, Puneet. See, if suppose I have a sugar problem and I join Healthy Family, probably because I want to have a healthy lifestyles. And with the diet and proper exercise, I want to reduce my sugar level in my body. If they also keep on giving me the medicines, that means there is somewhere conflict of interest. So I would think as a consumer, they are more interested in selling their medicine than curing me and making my life without medicine. So I mean, somewhere there is a conflict of interest I can see over here going in this direction.
Yep, fair point. The only thing that I would like to, while I agree with you, the only thing that you need to see is that there are certain, let's say multivitamins. So I'm not talking about particularly for the diabetes wala part. I'll actually talk about something which is completely complementary to even what they suggest. So right now, Healthify Me actually have fitness freaks available as customers, and then there are fitness consultants as well. And when you're talking about consultants, then they consult you, or they in your diet only they tell you that which all nutritious nutrition you should take in what quantity on a daily basis your current state. And there probably you can start with those kind of medicines which are categorized as drugs or in medicines, but they are more like completing the nutritional value that otherwise you are
Supplement.
not able to complete with the help of your daily diet.
Yeah,
So
even products like protein powders or
right.
supplements, I guess that could be the starting point, I feel.
So right, potentially that could be a starting point. Number two is coming to diabetes wala part. So I think kind of even doctors actually suggest that. Uh, kind of I know this from my kind of own family's experience, that while you should be doing exercise on the regular basis, but the point is that after a certain point in time, maybe kind of you need to take medicines, but occasionally. So I think it's not entirely conflict of interest, but yes, if you are selling those kind of medicines which otherwise you should be able to avoid in case you are regularly working out, then of course it makes total sense that it might be conflicting. So all these questions actually you need to answer. So therefore, kind of along with target customer, you need to also kind of come to the target products, that which are products you'll be selling. You might not be selling cancer or heart attack medicines and all. Probably you'll be selling some of different sorts, which are more like a little more light in terms of nature. But yes, that could be the starting point, and then slowly maybe actually you can separate your arm, because Healthify Me is probably from the vision perspective, it might
Yeah,
be slightly different.
even that's what was my point. Like I said, we cannot go into entirely into medical, setting up it as a medical store online, but
Hmm.
we can just help by giving those dietary consultations. Along with that, we can also provide some products which they might have to get through some other store. They can get it from us itself, like from Healthify, because Healthify me's purpose is completely different. This can be a conflict of interest, but to start with, they can go with some sort of supplementary products and not completely medical
But
facility.
here, when we are talking about a healthcare app, I think we are sticking ourselves to to apps such as Apollo Pharmacy or 1mg, right? I mean, Healthify is completely different.
Yeah,
See,
I think that was just an example, right?
I intentionally actually took that. While kind of, I could have picked even Practo, let's say going back around 3 years.
Yeah, even Connect and Heal is one
Yeah,
of the healthcare apps which facilitates with consultation and stuff.
right.
They can add this medicine factor in
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah. In fact, wanted to kind of spice up the discussion by including Healthify Me, and I'm glad that I've done.
Yeah, Healthify Me can think of creating a different, separate segment completely if they want.
In fact, Rakesh, I agree with your point as well, of course. Preetham Chungappa, use existing as to Healthify Me, user emails and data to analyze things, and also spread out. Yep, that's also a fair point, Preetham. Yep. All right, so we'll move ahead. Otherwise, kind of we can spend actually 5-6 hours only on this. So now this is more like market sizing. So estimating the product potential. Just read this out. Like imagine that you have just spent 3 years building a fantastic business. Your product is great, your website is cutting edge, your people are well trained and enthusiastic, and your customers love what you do. The problem is that you're running at a loss. there simply aren't enough customers in the market to support your business. So now this is exactly what happens in case you are not able to size your market, right? So therefore, kind of while your everything is perfect, but since you did not size your market correctly, and therefore you probably invested a little more in certain areas wherein the need has been overrated or overanalyzed. So all those things may happen. So we'll come to this, like what all we need to do to size market a little accurately.
Can you brief on what market sizing is?
Yep, right. Sure. So market sizing is that you need to size, or you need to, you need to understand that how big market you would be catering with your product. Let's say if I'll take example of washing powder, which we were discussing earlier. So in that case, if I'm saying that I would be, kind of selling this washing powder to a certain category of middle class and upper middle class customers, plus I'll be selling to people who would be having washing machines. So these two combination of these two factors. And let's say I would say that I'll be selling this to only metros or maximum tier 2 cities like Pune and all. But I'll not be going in tier 3 or tier 3 cities, because the purchase power might not be good, and probably the investment that we'll have to make in order to popularize this product and in the supply chain might not be worthy enough in the long run. So now I need to define that how many people approximately I would be targeting to sell this washing powder on the daily basis, on the monthly basis, on the weekly basis, and so on and so forth. So that's what is market sizing. We'll actually, kind of discuss more examples in future to make it more clear. But does it make sense, or you are still confused?
I want to understand, like, why do, like, if I want to sell, I wanted to sell everybody something to, everybody in the segment that I've chosen. Why would I want to size it? This is what I want to cater to. I hope this is what is market sizing, isn't it? This is the, number or size that I want to cater to. Why would I want to restrict? I want to sell it to everybody out there.
See, one thing is that you want, and one thing is that practically you can. So there is a big gap between, probably what you want and what you practically can. So market sizing is more like the pragmatic number of or practical amount of customers who would potentially buy your product given the certain constraints. Constraints could be maybe location, number one. Number two, maybe, kind of Porter five forces actually comes here. Maybe let's say, kind of there is a location wherein already there is a big player which is very popular, and it's a local player, and people are happy with the services of that player and the product. Number three could be that the kind of requirement, or the machine requirement which your product has. You cannot sell your product to those people who don't have washing machine, क्योंकि ये मशीन के लिए आपने बनाया है मेनली प्रोडक्ट, ठीक है, अदरवाइज वहां पे तो बहुत सारे हैं ऑलरेडी. तो इसीलिए there is a big gap between what probably you would have wanted and what probably you would be able to cater to. So that gap you need to fill. Does it make sense, or still you are
Yeah,
equally?
all right, yeah.
No, I mean, you don't need to agree. See, just because, kind of I'm giving reasons, you should agree in case you think that this looks like a sensible reason to me.
I think Puneet sir, in upcoming slides, I think
Right. We'll be
Pratima
covering
gonna
that.
be getting a clear insights about the market sizing. I think like Pratima, correct me if I'm wrong, you are confusing between the market share versus market sizing. I suppose you are talking right now about the market share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do one thing. Just go ahead. I think Puneet sir, let's do one thing. Let's go ahead with the slides, and we do
Yeah,
also have some examples on like upcoming slides. I think it's gonna give you a clear picture. And if you feel like if you still feel anything, just let us know. I'm more than happy to clear it out. Perfect, Puneet sir. Yeah.
sure. So guys, this is something which is more like acronyms that you would use, or you would, kind of come across daily when you'll be discussing some market sizing methods. I'll actually dig, kind of one by one. So number one is potential addressable market, which is of course a superset market. So what it represents, it actually represents a global market wherein these goods and services services maybe can be sold without any restrictions of geography or other factors. Let's say we'll discuss about a case. You are a website development company, and now for this website development company, you are using these market sizing methods. So I'll take it as an example, and then I'll run through all four different uh, terminologies here. Now, in this case, like potential available market, in this case, the website PAM will be represented by global web development market. That means anywhere across the world, if anybody would need a website, so that is a potential addressable market for you. There is no boundary. Anywhere on the planet, you can build that. Okay. Now we'll come to another one, which is TAM, which is total addressable market or total available market. Now, what it shows that how many customers in the core market are in need of your goods or services. So they might not be able to afford it. Let's say आपने जो website development है, you are asking or you are charging $5,000 for website development, but maybe a lot of customers cannot afford it. They can only afford maybe 1,000. So, but you cannot actually provide it less than $5,000. So in that case, these customers who are not able to afford your product, even that is also there in the total addressable market, because this market has that need. Okay. Now, in other words, if you need to estimate a TAM, it is essential to answer a question, which is that what type of customers can be interested in your products and in what volume.
Puneet sir, sorry to interrupt you. I think Anvisha actually have some doubts. I think
Sure.
she's writing on the chat that all the customers should be willing to buy the product, right? There cannot be a single product that can include all the available customers. So market sizing would help us to get an idea of the number of customers and the sales size based on our potential. Exactly. Right. So yeah, Anvisha. So basically, like adding to this, market sizing, it doesn't mean that we are restricting ourselves, right? We are not, nowhere we are restricting ourselves. We are understanding कि हमारा market size कितना बड़ा है, करेक्ट, इन शॉर्टर वर्ड्स। वर्सेस अगर आप मार्केट शेयर की बात करते हो तो मार्केट शेयर इवेंचुअली हमारे पास कस्टमर्स कितने आएंगे। लेट्स अज्यूम दैट मार्केट साइज एड टेक का 10 लाख रुपए का है। आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एग्जांपल, राइट? बट 10 लाख मेरे पोटेंशियल कस्टमर्स बन सकते हैं, बट अभी मैं 1 लाख कस्टमर्स को या फिर 1 लाख 10 हजार लोगों को टारगेट लेके चलता हूँ। बट मेरा मार्केट साइज बहुत बड़ा है, 10 लाख लोगों का है। बट जितना मेरे पास रिसोर्सेज हैं, इनफैक्ट रिसोर्सेज ऑल डिपेंड्स ऑन, नॉट ओनली डिपेंड्स ऑन द बिजनेस, बट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन द कस्टमर्स, द काइंड ऑफ अ कस्टमर्स यू आर टारगेटिंग। आपको पता है कि मार्केट साइज मेरा 10 लाख का है, बट अभी मैं सिर्फ 1,000 लोगों को या 10,000 लोगों को केटर कर रहा हूँ, एंड दैट्स हाउ आई गोइंग टू लाइक ask for the money, and that's how the investment और ये सब चीजें चलती हैं, and that's how you're going to grow, correct? So how do we actually find what the exact number of customers that is interested in my product and services? Preetham is asking you, like,
So
Puneet
marketing
sir.
size would not like it's not restricting ourselves. It's like playing smart and safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is like cutting out our expenditure. I mean, in designing a product so that if we know that we are going to jump into a loss,
Mm-hmm.
we would not do that, right? Like if we know that our product is for a particular pool of customers,
Mm-hmm.
why like spend extra efforts and resources on?
नहीं अन्वेषा, वो मार्केट टारगेटिंग हो जाती है अन्वेषा, आपकी मार्केट टारगेटिंग की बात कर रहे हो। जब आप मार्केट साइज की बात करते हो ना, आप अपने आप को कभी भी रिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं करते हो।
Yeah,
अंडरस्टैंड
that's what
गाइस।
I'm saying. Like
हाँ,
we are
अपने
not
आप को,
restricting ourselves. We are actually it's
हाँ
like
हाँ,
a
देखो, market targeting, market share, market sizing is all different thing, right? So when you
yes.
talk to the market sizing वाला part ना, so market sizing में you take a whole पूरा का पूरा अपना, like let's assume that आज के टाइम पे हमारे पास एक एरिया के अंदर 10,000 कस्टमर्स हैं, एक ब्लॉक के अंदर, लेट्स अज्यूम, करेक्ट? या फिर एक स्टेट में देख लेते हैं, वी हैव अ 10,000 ऑफ पीपल, जो हमारा पूरा मार्केट साइज है। बट ऐसा नहीं होता ना गाइस कि मैं सिर्फ मोनोपोली प्ले कर रहा हूँ मार्केट के अंदर, कि वो लोग सिर्फ मेरे पास ही आएंगे। सो मार्केट साइज तो 10,000 लोगों का है, बट as a individual identity, as a person, I'm only going to maybe I only going to cater the 10,000, not a 10,000 basically, but 1,000 like पीपल, राइट? एंड वो 1000 लोग मेरे उसमें हैं, बट मेरा मार्केट साइज जो मैं बढ़ाना चाहता हूँ, जो मैं देखता हूँ फ्यूचर फिगर्स, वो 10,000 लोगों को कैटर करना चाहता हूँ। सो मार्केट साइज बिल्कुल अलग चीज हो जाती है गाइस। आपको डिफरेंस समझ में आ रहा है क्या? मार्केट साइज तो पूरी इंडस्ट्री का साइज हो गया ना।
Ritik,
Yeah.
so market size is like the share of all competitors in this thing put
हाँ
together.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली।
Market share will be a subset of my product in that market.
नहीं नहीं, मार्केट साइज की, मार्केट साइज आप देखते हो हमेशा, मार्केट साइज की आप जब बात करते हैं हम लोग, तो हम पूरी कंप्लीट कॉम्पिटिटर्स का भी साइज पकड़ते हैं ना। कि लेट्स अज्यूम आई एम राइट नाउ एट अ 10% शेयर है मेरा कंपनी उसके अंदर, पूरी मार्केट के अंदर। आप कोलगेट को ले लो, आप कोई भी एक एफएमसीजी प्रोडक्ट को ले लो, राइट? लेट्स अज्यूम दैट आप कोलगेट को लेते हो, कोलगेट का जो मार्केट शेयर है वो 50% है पूरे इंडिया में, एंड रेस्ट ऑफ द 50% किसी और लोगों का है। बट वो मार्केट साइज, अगर वो 50% 10,000 लोगों को केटर कर रहा है, तो टोटल मार्केट साइज तो आपका 20,000 लोगों को हो गया ना। 20,000 इज अ टोटल मार्केट साइज। उसमें से 50% आपका कोलगेट ले जाता है, वो मार्केट शेयर है उसका। बट अगर कोई 10% या फिर कोई और कंपनी है, पतंजलि है, दे हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ लाइक यू कैन से, उनके पास वो है कि इतने ऑडियंस टूथपेस्ट तो यूज करती है ना, आज नहीं कल मेरा यूज करना शुरू कर देंगे, कल मेरा शेयर बढ़ेगा। बट टोटल मार्केट साइज तो इतना बड़ा है ना मेरे पास।
Exactly, like even Zomato and Swiggy are targeting the same market, so that
हम्म।
the market size is same for both the
हाँ
companies, but the
करेक्ट।
share might be different.
करेक्ट, शेयर मार्केट शेयर इज एंटायरली डिफरेंट थिंग। लाइक मार्केट टारगेटिंग इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग। अगर मैं आज स्विगी की बात करता हूँ, तो स्विगी का कस्टमर कभी भी फाइन डाइन रेस्टोरेंट में जाके थोड़ा ना ऑर्डर करेगा फूड, वो तो हमेशा होम डिलीवरी यूज करेगा ना। बट जोमेटो का वो भी बंदा है जो जाके खाना चाहता है, रेस्टोरेंट्स में जाना खाना चाहता है, तो मार्केट साइज तो उसके लिए अलग हो गया ना। गाइस समझ रहे हो? मतलब मार्केट साइज स्विगी और जोमेटो के लिए वहां पे सेम है, जहां पे बंदा घर पे बुला रहा है खाना, when he is opting for the food delivery thing, guys वो मार्केट साइज उसका पूरा हो गया। समझ में आ रहा है क्या? हाँ या ना?
Yeah, Ritik.
मतलब आप एक ही चीज को
Yes,
बेच रहे
yes.
हो, उसी के अंदर तो मार्केट साइज निकालोगे कि कितने लोग चाहते हैं मेरा प्रोडक्ट लेना।
Yep.
In fact, we'll be discussing this, kind of in the future slides as well with certain examples. But yes, so but that's a good point that kind of there is a difference between market size and market share. So for Naukri enjoys around 70%, 75% market share right now in India, with around 8 CR of around 15 CR of total job seekers, unique job seekers who are there, 15 CR. But at the same time, there are certain job seekers which are not on Naukri because of certain reasons. Let's say, kind of they are from oil and gas sector, or they are from that sector wherein Naukri doesn't have jobs because that's not their target segment. जैसे आपके home delivery boys हैं या office boys हैं, probably those are not the jobs that Naukri targets. So for them, it does not come under their market size. It's not
इट्स
more
नॉट
like,
एड्रेसेबल, हाँ अगेन
right. It's not
एड्रेसेबल
addressable
मार्केट ही नहीं
market,
है मेरी वो।
right. It could be potentially addressable, but that's not my target market.
फ्यूचर में हो सकता है कि वो लोग अपग्रेड हो जाएं, दे अपस्किल कर लें अपने आप को, एंड दे स्टार्ट जंपिंग ऑन ऑन मे बी ऑन सम अदर उसमें, मतलब सम
Or
अदर सेगमेंट, एंड दे बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ मार्केट ऑफ जो टारगेट करना चाह रहे हैं।
राइट, और ऑल्टरनेटिवली नौकरी स्टार्ट करे एक नया अपना सॉर्ट ऑफ बिजनेस जो ऑलरेडी है, जॉब है इज दैट ब्रांड विद विच नाउ वी आर टारगेटिंग द ब्लू कॉलर जॉब्स.
Hmm.
सो मतलब एनी स्ट्रेटजी कुड बी देयर, इधर कंपनी.
मैं पता नहीं क्यों, so bad.
So there are both ways to kind of define if this market is relevant to you or not. And coming to the kind of final question, or I would say point that Preetham has mentioned, like how do we actually find what's the exact number of customers? We'll come to that in this presentation that are interested in my product. In short, how do we concretely find out what's the time? Yep, we'll come to that.
So पुनीत
So
सर जो भी मैंने बोला था वो शायद से सुना क्या आप लोगों ने, या फिर वो ड्रॉप हो गया मैं?
no, I could hear you. I was
Okay.
not online for a couple of minutes. But yes,
ओके, कूल कूल। सो
I
गाइज वो मार्केट साइजिंग बिल्कुल डिफरेंट हो जाता है, राइट? टारगेट मार्केट अलग हो जाती है आपकी। आपकी मार्केट आपकी जो आप कहते हो कि मेरा मार्केट शेयर अलग चीज़ होती है। मार्केट शेयर मेरा 10% है, बट मार्केट साइज मेरा 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 10 करोड़ का मार्केट शेयर है, बट इस मार्केट के अंदर ऑलमोस्ट 100 करोड़ की जनता है जो मेरा प्रोडक्ट ले सकती है, और सिमिलर प्रोडक्ट मेरा ले रही है, बट किसी और मेरे कॉम्पिटिटर के साथ, मतलब कॉम्पिटिटर से बेसिकली। बट मेरा हो सकता है कि मैं अपने साइज को बढ़ा दूं, और अपने साइज को नहीं, अपने शेयर को बढ़ा दूं, और मेरा मेरा टारगेट हो जाए। दैट्स हाउ यू डू इट, डील इट। गाइस समझ में आया है क्या?
Yes.
थोड़ा नहीं समझ में आया,
Yes.
थोड़ा और समझ में आ जाएगा आगे जाके ना, थोड़ा और चीजें क्लियर हो जाएंगी।
So if you say like very simple, if you try to make a comparison,
हम्म।
so like if we just imagine a pizza,
हाँ हाँ।
so the whole pizza is the market size, right? And
एग्जैक्टली।
the one piece of pizza is your market share.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली, आई जस्ट वांट टू गिव दैट एग्जांपल, बट मुझे लगा बहुत वो हो जाएगा, बहुत वैसे हो जाएगा, नॉर्मल हो जाएगा, बट यस, that's the deal, right? So if you take a pizza example, so whole piece is a market size, and that जो आप एक लेते हो पिज्जा का, it's
Peace.
called a share piece, वो लेते हो, it's a share, right?
sure.
Perfect.
Okay, all right. So we'll just kind of use the same business that we tried with PAM to kind of tell you that what TAM would be. So basically, let's say you sell websites for businesses all over India. That India is your target market. Let's say now in India, let's assume that there are total 10 million companies. Okay, and 50% of them would like to create a site. So that means your TAM, your total addressable market will be that only, which is 5 million. Number one, 5 million customers. Now, average price for one website, as we discussed, like $5,000. In that case, you can multiply this 5 million with $5,000 to estimate that what amount of money that you can make out of these many customers, out of the market which is available. The other one is SAM, which is Serviceable Available Market, which is again a subset of PAM and then TAM. Sorry. So, what SAM is? It is the customer part of the total addressable market that can be actually reached. It is important that can be actually reached. It means that this index shows the volume of customers who are ready to buy goods or services in the same category as yours. So Swiggy और जो Zomato का एग्जांपल था ना, वो यही वाला है कि जिसमें कि जिस कैटेगरी में आप प्ले कर रहे हो वो उसी कैटेगरी में परचेज करते हैं। ठीक है, इसका मतलब लेट्स से यू सेल वेबसाइट फॉर रिटेलर्स, ऐसा नहीं है कि आप सबके लिए बनाते हो साइट, यू सेल वेबसाइट्स ओनली फॉर रिटेलर्स, नॉट फॉर B2B कंपनीज। Now, assume that there are total 1 lakh or 100,000 companies. Out of, I mentioned like, total 5 million of TAM, there are only maybe let's say 1 million. Only 20% of companies are in the retail segment. So this is your serviceable available market. Okay.
Yes.
So last but not the least is SOM. Now this is serviceable and obtainable market, or you can say share of market, which we have been discussing since quite some time, like Ritik also kind of explained and all. So it's a part of SAM which your company is willing and able to occupy, taking into account the strategic development of this market and competitor actions. सो इसके ऊपर बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स आते हैं कि होते थे कंपटीशन ऑलरेडी हो, या फिर कुछ ना मार्केट में ना कस्टमर बायस होता है कि कोई कंपनीज है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ उन्हीं कंपनीज को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देती हैं जो कंपनीज कम से कम इतने CR रेवेन्यू के ऊपर होती हैं। तो ऑल दोज एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स आर देयर, and now basis these factors, considering these factors, then you come across serviceable and obtainable market for your product or service. Now with our case, let's say we sell websites. Now there are 10 designers and 10 programmers in our company. So it allows us to create maybe 100 websites per month. Now, in that case, for every year, we can create only a certain number of websites. Let's say 100 websites per month. That means let's say 1200 websites per year. So while the need of the market is around 1 million, but you can only service or only provide 1200 out of those 1 million needs. You can always increase your resource and all those things you can do depending on certain other logics. But with the current set of resources, this much is what you can do. Is it clear, guys? यहाँ सर के ऊपर से गया, समझ नहीं आया, सब चलेगा.
Would request Purit if you can also like in parallel the same slide, if you can write something like numbers of like all the numbers, the big numbers like 100,000s or this number that you put, right? So if it is something related to some specific industry, so that later on we can also get it in a quick manner.
Sure.
So right now definitely I mean getting these numbers getting little difficult.
Got it. I think like Puneet sir needs to have a notepad for that. वो ना digital notepad हमने दिया नहीं है पुनीत सर को अभी तक. So we gonna be giving him a digital notepad. है. वो मुझे sessions में लगता है कि practical sessions में it's gonna be very important क्योंकि आपको digital notepad होना चाहिए, but हमने अभी तक दिया नहीं है. So it's our fault, but like let's do one thing, Puneet sir. Next time we gonna plan it out. और ये हम एक बार फिर से एक बार इसको अगर डाउट होता है तो we gonna be do it again, right?
Sure. In fact, जो आगे के questions होंगे ना, आगे की जो slides है ना,
हाँ
उसमें
वो
भी
काफी.
you get to know these things a little better. So I spent good amount of time on this slide because I just wanted to set the kind of fund sort of foundation on the futures for the future slides.
Preetham is asking, is there any way or site where we can actually figure out the numerical figures of TAM, total addressable market? You can do that, yeah. Matlab, there are tons of, like, you can do your own research, I think. It's
So,
gonna help you a lot.
right. So there is a site, kind of Statista, which I, kind of shared last time as well. It's one of the most famous sites that even I use. Okay, so there are some free.
Mostly it is paid.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of there are some older numbers that kind of are unpaid. You can jack it up always with certain degree of confidence. But yes, of course, kind of best things on the planet are paid only.
Sakshi is writing that can also do through Facebook ads, I suppose. You can do it. I think you can do a kind of a market, and I'm telling you honestly, what you can do is you can run an ad, correct? And it's a very good trick. You spend 5,000 rupees on ads on Facebook ads, try to run it. Try to go for the people and just ask for their numbers. People gonna be submitting in their numbers, and you gonna call them up and see how much people are interested into your product, right? And that's how you can actually can figure out the addressable market. But yeah, so but not a number actually, but you can actually can understand which market you need to target and which market is an addressable market in your for your product.
And there is one more important factor is that kind of in the session that we are having, we will be letting the approaches, because eventually whenever you will be deciding or you'll be kind of making these decisions as a part of your profile, then you will be having access to most of these numbers because your company would help you to get those numbers. And in case you are starting your own venture, then you need to spend some time in identifying some free resources or invest some amount of money to get some paid resources to get the exact number. So there is no kind of fixed way to come up with the exact number. It is more about, first of all, approach. If you understand that approach or not, how to get the correct number, and thereafter you need to work out the raw material that you would need in order to come to the accurate number. So this is kind of what we'll be letting you know, like what are the different ways with which you can reach to that number, which is your SOM.
It'll be in today's session, right? Or in the future ones?
Yeah, this only.
In today's session, and also
Okay.
we do have some kind of a questions in upcoming slides, right? In that way you can actually can understand the market sizing क्या होता है, target market क्या होता है, so you're gonna be getting a good idea about it. So वो practical करके देखोगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा.
Right. Okay, so should I go to next slide?
Yes.
I think I was expecting kind of people would have a lot of questions in this session, and it's going to be a little lengthy session, but yes, it's all cool.
Cool.
All right. So kind of coming to this part, which is that what are the kind of common approaches if you want to market size, or you have some estimation questions that estimates that how many kind of buyers will be there for this product or this service. So all those things are there. Now in that case, broadly, kind of top down and bottom up. These are the two very broad level approaches that you use. When I'm saying top down, then you start from the top. Let's say you take, kind of you give, you need to tell that how many diapers, or maybe, kind of I'll jump on this, like diaper market. Suppose you are giving an interview for the position of product manager. Now during the interview, the interviewer asks you to estimate the market size of diapers for children in India. Now, what all data points would you need to estimate in order to arrive at the final sizing? So if I would start, kind of from the top down, I'm just giving you some idea because the question is for you guys. So when you're starting from the top down, then generally what you do is that you start from maybe PAM, that what is probably the potentially addressable market. And then, you go to TAM, then you go to SAM, and then finally you come to SOM. So it's more like a top down approach. Okay. And in case you go from the bottom up, in that case, you come up with a first unit or one unit of your customer. Like, how would that customer look like? You need to define a customer persona. These are the characteristics or these are the traits of my customer. Let's say washing powder वाला है कि एक हाउसवाइफ या कोई भी आपका ऐसी कैटेगरी के यूजर्स जिनके पास खुद की एक वॉशिंग मशीन हो, प्लस जो मिडिल या अपर मिडिल क्लास को बिलोंग करते हो, ये यूजर्स और इनकी एक फैमिली, आप फैमिली को एक ही रिप्रेजेंट करोगे। तो जो पर फैमिली है, लेट्स से आपने एक एग्जांपल ले लिया कि हर फैमिली में 3-4 लोग होते हैं, या आपने 4 ले लिए और फिर आपने उस तरह डिवाइड करना शुरू करा। तो बेसिकली आप वहाँ से स्टार्ट करोगे एंड देन यू डिसाइड कि एक फैमिली, अगर आपकी 4 की फैमिली है, तो उसके बाद अगर उनको वॉशिंग पाउडर यूज़ करना है तो वो 1 वीक में या 1 मंथ में या 1 यूनिट जो वॉशिंग पाउडर है उसको कितना टाइम लगेगा, अगर हम 1 यूनिट 1 केजी की लेते हैं तो। ठीक है कि वो कितने, इसमें कितने आपके कपड़े साफ होते हैं। लेट्स से फॉर 1 केजी यू कैन यूज 1 केजी फॉर 30 days broadly for a family of 4. And now from there you take it up कि how many families are there, how many families, and then how many, first of all, how many families are there, and then how would you come to the family count? By using some sectorial representation. Maybe इस सेक्टर में इतने लोग रहते हैं और यूजुअली इतने सेक्टर है नोएडा में, अगर मैं नोएडा का एग्जांपल ले रहा हूँ, तो हर सेक्टर में लगभग लगभग इतनी ऑडियंस होगी, उसमें इतने 4, जिसमें 4 इतनी फैमिलीज होंगी, उसमें से इतनी फैमिलीज होंगी जो कि आपकी sort of इस कैटेगरी में फॉल करेगी कि फ्रॉम द परचेज पावर एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स, so that you will decide. So there are two ways, like top down, and then there is a bottom up. And we'll kind of discuss real examples as well in our guesstimate section in the future slides. लेकिन टॉप डाउन और बॉटम अप आपको समझ आया, मतलब व्हाट आर वी ट्राइंग टू डू, ये दो तरीके आपके क्या हैं ब्रॉडली मार्केट साइजिंग के?
Yes. Like
Also, guys,
top down is basically narrowing your filters, and
right,
bottom up is reverse. Like पहले
right,
बड़ा पिक्चर देखो, नहीं पहले छोटा पिक्चर से बड़े में जाओ ऐसा।
right.
Sorting things like categories, right?
Right,
Kind of.
right, right, right. Exactly. So bottom up actually starts with a unit and then you scale that unit up to reach to the entire segment. And the other one is that first, kind of take a very top level approach and decide that what all potentially could become your segment. And then you deep dive and drill down, and then you create the very market that you will be addressing for your product or your service. Yeah, Ritik, you were saying something, I think.
I was saying that, guys, we're gonna be doing a practical session, right? I gonna be like, myself have a lot of questions on like like market sizing and everything, and I gonna be discussing with you guys. So yeah, वही मैं कह रहा था मुनीस सर कि हम कल 11 बजे एक बहुत प्रैक्टिकल, सुबह के 11 या 12 बजे बहुत एक प्रैक्टिकल सेशन करेंगे, उसमें आपको टॉप डाउन और बॉटम्स अप दोनों समझ में आ जाएगा. So yeah, that's it.
Right, right. No, that will be really great because, kind of this session actually would require some extra, kind of.
I definitely am gonna provide with a very practical session because मैंने खुद काफ़ी understand किया था at an initial level अपने ये जब company बनाते वक्त, तो I have a very good idea, and also at the same time when I was working with Zomato I have a very clear idea about market sizing. Like मेरा काम सिर्फ और सिर्फ market sizing करने का था उस time 2 tier 3 tier cities में, so I can explain them, and also I have a lot of problem statement which they can solve and can get a practical exposure, और बहुत real time वाली चीज़ है. तो I am just telling them कि top down और bottoms up आपको समझ में आ जाएगा.
Right.
Again,
Okay.
also
So,
we also like data points के अलावा भी we also have Puneet sir हमारे इसके अंदर if you go for the next slides ना, also we have a problem statement I think, नहीं सिर्फ हाँ next,
Right.
हाँ
Okay.
next करना, हाँ आई थिंक ये जो डॉक्स है ना इसके अंदर प्रॉपर ब्रेकडाउन लिखा हुआ है
Right, right.
अप्रोच का
Actually,
स्टेप बाय
yeah,
स्टेप।
yeah. Actually, I had gone to it.
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
Into it, so I'll just probably share it. I think my screen might not be visible. I'll just reshare. Just
Mm-hmm. And guys, this is done for the top down approach, so you can actually can understand कि बहुत easy है, मतलब कोई ज़्यादा कोई इसमें rocket science नहीं है, so you can actually can understand how the things works.
okay. So this is what it is. Kind of in terms of the solution of that. Like market size is number of children who use diaper in India multiplied by daily usage of diaper per child and average selling price of a diaper. So this is the standard market size. Now, assumption one, then there are certain assumptions as well. Because, kind of when you are using market size assumption, you may write, or maybe if you have exact, kind of criteria, then you may call it as constraints as well. That this is the, kind of, there's a constraint that you have. And therefore, the market size that you are finding out is considering the constraints that has been awarded. Now, I am considering only baby diaper market and not adult diaper because there are both markets which are there, which is a recent development. Now, step one is identifying the total number of babies in India, as you were saying. Now, how can we do that? Maybe total population of India, and then we say percentage of population in 0 to 3 years range. Of course, exact numbers, kind of you can always get through online research and all, but this is the formula that you may use for this particular problem. कि आपने टोटल पॉपुलेशन निकाली कितने लोग हैं, और आपने देख लिया कि जो इंडिया में परसेंटेज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन जो 0 to 3 ईयर वाले हैं वो आपके लेट से 15% है आउट ऑफ टोटल। तो आपने 15% आपने टोटल निकाली, टोटल बेबीज़ कितने एग्जिस्ट करते हैं इंडिया में एट द मोमेंट। सो दैट इज़ द टोटल नंबर ऑफ बेबीज़। फिर उसके बाद आपने सोचा कि यार इसमें बेबीज़ आपके हर कैटेगरी के होंगे, आपके इसमें बहुत सारे रिमोट एरियाज़ में होंगे, बहुत सारे पुअर सेगमेंट में होंगे जहाँ पर कि उनको शायद डायपर्स के बारे में पता भी नहीं होगा। ठीक है, तो आपको ये भी देखना पड़ेगा एज्यूमिंग नंबर ऑफ डायपर्स यूज्ड बाय बेबी पर डे। सो आपको ये देखना है कि कितने लोगों ने कितने एक दिन में कितने यूज होते हैं, अप्रॉक्सीमेटली मे बी 4 इज द नंबर लेट से। देन एज्यूमिंग कॉस्ट पर डायपर, आपको कितना कॉस्ट पड़ता है पर डायपर का, फिर आपने वो निकाला। फिर आपको जो मार्केट साइज आया वो है टोटल नंबर ऑफ, आपका स्टेप 1 2 एंड 3 को आपने मल्टीप्लाई किया एंड मल्टीप्लाई बाय 365 बिकॉज यू हैव टेकन इट पर डे, and this is the number that you can say that this is my market size. Then there are other pieces as well which will come, like I was discussing that maybe kind of this is again PAM, potentially addressable market, right? This is this one, uh, sorry, this is TAM, not PAM, sorry, this is TAM. Now after that you come to this thing like what is the serviceable available market. So you'll see that only metros or maybe tier 2 cities or tier 1 cities people afford or maybe purchase this diapers and all for their kids. So now kind of your market size again narrowed down further. Then you think that there are certain other places in the market which are doing pretty well, or what amount of production of diapers you can make, you can do, and then kind of you reach to the final SOM again using the same principle. So guys, are you able to connect to this, that kind of why that PAM, TAM, SAM and SOM matters? And this is only the tip of the iceberg. You get to know a very broad level that what how big market you are planning or you would be potentially be able to cater.
I was thinking the market size here would mean only number of children who use diapers in India, like how many diapers and selling price. So market size is in terms of revenue, is it?
Yeah, it's always in terms of revenue. So market size, whenever you are saying from the business terms, it always has revenue factor into it.
It's not like something like head count or and not like that.
See, actually, headcount is again a penultimate step. You can reach to that headcount, but eventually you have to connect it to the business. So market size from the business perspective is this only, because whenever you'll be showing a slide to the maybe top level deck, top level executive, and maybe for yourself, you need to always see from the business perspective.
And headcount would mostly become like a guesstimate, right? So there wouldn't be any difference between a guesstimate and a market size that way.
Right. So eventually it will be guesstimate only.
Yeah.
The only thing is that when you multiply it with kind of the cost element, in that case actually you can give some meaningful sort of insight to the business, that if you should take this call or not. Let's say you start a production machinery, and that's a classic example because I recently met a guy actually who is willing to set up a machinery in India for manufacturing screws of a certain size and a certain quality. Now, in that case, it is important for that user, for that friend of mine, to understand that in what amount of time he will be able to make it break even. So, therefore, he was, kind of, we were doing that study for him a couple of months back. And then we came up to this, that what amount of investment he can safely make in order to do break even in 1.5 years. So therefore, the market size that you will come up with, you should be able to contribute to the business decisions. And in order to be able to contribute to business decisions, you need to make people understand that what amount of money you would be making after doing this activity.
So overall, it's a good practice to say it in terms of revenue, because sometimes market sizes also represented in terms of just volume.
So right. So I think kind of it varies a little depending on the kind of question or kind of audience that you are looking at. If you would look at the audience who would be responsible to take call or take decision if company should invest in that direction or not, in that case for them the market size would be with revenue, which is usually the case. If you are talking to a person who probably would be more interested, or the audience who would be more interested in knowing only number of target customers, let's say operational thing, I'm talking
Mhm.
about operations particularly. Let's say you want to set up an operations team, a customer support to be specific. Now you need to know that what amount of or how many customer support executive would you need in order to serve your customers of a certain product. Now in that case, the guesstimate will tell you that what amount of headcount you would need from customer service personals, and you would not probably deep dive into the pricing part or revenue part, because you are just letting this know to the operations head, and then operations head would come up with this thing, that if you are talking about having 50 personals, in that case per month salary will be 10,000 for each of them. That means this much of salary will be paying in a year. So now, are we comfortable in paying this much to the support services to keep this product up and running in the market?
Okay.
Okay. So is it clear, guys? Or I'm sure that a lot of maybe kind of confusion might be there in your mind, but you need to be clear about this thing, that these strategies are successful. And when we'll do guesstimate exercise, or maybe when Ritik will be taking you tomorrow across, kind of through those session and all. So there you'll be practicing all these things with some real data or maybe some real life applications. So I'll just quickly jump on the pricing part. Okay. And guys, we can have, kind of one more session whenever you want. I think Ritik, you would be able to do that, of course. But in
Exactly. I definitely gonna do it for
right,
the market sizing. I
right.
think market sizing is something a lot of people actually are confused between the market size, market share, and also guys, market sizing जितना छोटा हमने अभी cover किया उतना छोटा है नहीं. ये मार्केट साइजिंग, यू नो व्हाट, मार्केट साइजिंग आपके ऑफिस आवर्स पे भी डिपेंड करता है. आप मे बी यू आर सिटिंग इन अ, मे बी यू आर वर्किंग एज अ इन अ जोमैटो, राइट? तो मार्केट साइजिंग आपका पर मंथली बहुत फैक्टर करता है कि पर मंथ आपका मार्केट साइज क्या क्या है. ऑल्सो इट ऑल्सो वेरीज फ्रॉम डे टू डे, राइट? अगर आज आपका लाइक लेट्स अज्यूम दैट इवनिंग में आपका ज़्यादा जाता है डिलीवरी वर्सेज एज कम्पेयर टू ड्यूरिंग द नाइट टाइम, करेक्ट? सो काफ़ी ज़्यादा फैक्टर्स होते हैं. तो वी गोना बी डूइंग इट, वी गोना बी गिविंग द रियलिस्टिक एग्जांपल, और हम सब लोग मिलके कैलकुलेट करेंगे. सो इट्स गोना हेल्प यू अ लॉट टू गेट अ बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द मार्केट रिसर्च कह रहा हूँ, मार्केट एनालिसिस एंड मार्केट शेयर, राइट? आपको बहुत अच्छी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन हो जाएगा. जस्ट गिव मी टुमारोज टाइम. हम कल 11 बजे 12 बजे म्यूचुअल डिसाइड करके टाइमिंग पे वी गोना प्लान अ सेशन एंड वी गोना बी डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सरसाइज tomorrow. So yeah.
Sure. That'll be helpful, I'm sure. Coming to the next part, which is pricing. So this is kind of one of the very key, uh, I would say, trait that you need to develop. So pricing is again related to the market size in a way, because you need now, if you understand that the market size and this all these things are there, after that you need to come to the pricing part. That what amount of pricing would help you doing the break even a little early, but not jumping to that direction so soon so that you end up losing business or you end up not acquiring customers with a good pace. So you need to maintain a balance between two things, कि यार ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि मैंने प्राइस बहुत हाई रख दिया कि अगर 200 कस्टमर आ गए तो भी मेरा प्राइस का ब्रेक इवन हो जाएगा, क्योंकि वो 200 भी आपके लिए लाना मुश्किल हो जाएगा if it is too expensive and if there are cheaper or better competitors available in the market. At the same time, अगर आपने इतना कम रख लिया कि आपको लग रहा है कि क्या कहते हैं, इसमें अगर 50,000 लोगों ने खरीद लिया तो मेरा ब्रेक इवन हो जाएगा अगर मैं कम भी रखता हूँ प्राइस। तो अब प्रॉब्लम ये हो सकता है 50,000 पीपल विल नॉट बाय योर प्रोडक्ट, क्योंकि उतना मार्केट साइज ही नहीं है, and in that case you will never be able to achieve break even. So therefore all these things are important while you do pricing of your product. Now, which all factors or which all kind of levers you would consider while you are marketing, while you are setting the price of your product? So first of all, there are two sides of it. One thing is the market size, and the second, the business part. So market is something which under which kind of takes people who are customers, and of course competition, what they are doing. Study the market factors, like which all market factors are there. And when I'm taking market factor, that means economical changes and all. And then you should be active to these market changes. Let's say COVID example है, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि कोविड में ना एकदम से ना लोगों का बाहर डाइन इन बंद हो गया बिल्कुल ही, तो इसका मतलब स्विगी और जोमेटो में ऑर्डर ज़्यादा आने के चांसेस थे, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम देयर इज अ कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग फैक्टर कि कोविड में इन्फेक्शन के चांसेस बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, और इस वजह से काफ़ी सारे लोग हो सकता है घर पे ना बना पाए खाना या फिर मुश्किल से बना पाए, इवन देन दे विल नॉट बी ऑर्डरिंग. But then comes there is an unlock period, where in unlock period people get a little less, kind of people get a little less paranoid, and they are little okay that after taking certain precautionary measures, they would be able to use outside food or consume outside food. तो आपको लगता है कि अब आपके मार्केट चेंजेस के लिए यू शुड बी एक्टिव, you should be always able to evaluate that how many that where market is going, and thereafter you should be able to respond to it. So that is it. Now from the business perspective, you need to understand your costs. Costs are not only raw materials. जैसे स्विगी है, स्विगी का अपना कुछ खुद नहीं है या जोमेटो का खुद नहीं है, इन्होंने बीच में क्लाउड किचन स्टार्ट किया था, लेट्स से, ठीक है. अब क्लाउड किचन में अगर आप कभी क्लाउड किचन का एक एग्जांपल ले रहे हैं हम लोग, क्लाउड किचन में दे एक्चुअली काइंड ऑफ had certain sort of kitchens available, and in those kitchens they were cooking their own food, and then they were delivering that food to their users. Now you need to understand that which all costs are involved in setting up this by yourself. आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कॉस्ट को देखना पड़ेगा, जो वहाँ पर शेफ्स हैं उनकी आपको देखना पड़ेगा, उनकी कॉस्ट को, प्लस आपका वेस्टेज भी होगा, क्योंकि जब खाना बनता है काफ़ी सारा वेस्ट होता है, तो आपको वेस्टेज देखनी पड़ेगी. प्लस आपको फ्लक्चुएटिंग प्राइसेस होते हैं किसके, रॉ मटेरियल के, वो आपको देखने पड़ेंगे. प्लस आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि क्या कहते हैं, आपको बैकअप कॉस्ट कितना रखना है, क्योंकि हो सकता है कोई बीमार है, शेफ बीमार है, आपके वर्कफोर्स कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो गई, आपकी मशीन्स में प्रॉब्लम हो गई, तो आपको बैकअप्स भी रखने पड़ते हैं. सो बैकअप्स में भी आपकी कॉस्ट जाती है. तो आपको कॉस्ट अपने पता होनी चाहिए कि ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट कितना है, आपका फिक्स कॉस्ट कितना है. अगर मशीनरी सेटअप करनी है वो आपका फिक्स कॉस्ट है. ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट हो गया कि आपको उसके ऊपर जो आपको ओवर एंड अबव जो भी आपको ऑपरेट करने के लिए कॉस्ट चाहिए होता है, ठीक है. अब कंसिडर प्रोडक्ट इलास्टिसिटी. प्रोडक्ट इलास्टिसिटी का मतलब ये है कि if if you actually change the price of the product, then if there is a change in the demand of the product, so then in that case if there is a high change in the demand according to the price, then the product is very elastic. On the other hand, if there is a product wherein even if you change the price of the product from low to high, even then the demand does not change significantly. एग्जाम्पल के लिए अगर आप लेट्स से फोन का एग्जाम्पल लेते हो, या फिर फोन का नहीं, आप एक काम कीजिए, आप एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं लेट्स से हम लोग फूड का एक पर्टिकुलर रेस्टोरेंट में. अब अगर आपको लगता है कि अगर आपने 300 से बढ़ा के उसका 500 प्राइस कर दिया, सो इन दैट केस ऑफ कोर्स द डिमांड ऑफ योर प्रोडक्ट और द सेलिंग ऑफ योर प्रोडक्ट विल गो डाउन, क्योंकि यार वो सोचेंगे यार 300 में या 350 में इसके एक कंपैरेटिव रेस्टोरेंट है, मैं वहीं से मंगा लेता हूँ, 300 to 500 इज जस्ट टू मच. ठीक है. I'll give you an example. In fact, that case study was there. Like Zomato actually published it. I think Zomato or Swiggy, maybe around. It is not new. Around 1.5 to 3 years old. It was pre-COVID. So basically, certain restaurants actually, when they came to Zomato, they actually started increasing their price. अभी भी अगर आप देखोगे ना, जोमेटो में जनरली 20-30 रुपीज ज़्यादा होता है प्राइस उस डिश का, जो आपको एक्चुअल डाइन इन पर उससे कम की पड़ती है. Now, when this kind of price changed, people started ordering less from Zomato, and then they started ordering directly from certain restaurants, जहाँ पे उनके आसपास के, और वो फ़ोन पर ही कॉल करके बोल देते हैं और वहाँ पर वो उनको रेगुलर प्राइस पर ही देते हैं. तो ये सारे चीज़ें थी जिसकी वजह से जोमेटो ने रेस्टोरेंट से बोला कि आप हमें वही प्राइस दीजिए विच यू पुट इट ऑन योर मेन्यू. Certain restaurant, kind of restaurants actually agreed to it, certain have not. So that is still the case. So product elasticity इस केस में आपकी काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग है. हम दूसरा एग्जांपल लेते हैं जिसमें कि आपको प्रोडक्ट इलास्टिसिटी काफ़ी कम है, जो हम मेडिसिन में होता है. लेट्स से मेडिसिन्स हैव बीन kind of made a little expensive. In that case also, people who would have to buy it, they will continue to buy it. They'll find it difficult, but they'll have to buy it. So there the product elasticity is very less. It's not an elastic product. But at the same time, if we'll take example for a generic drug, or even in today's case, there are certain cases wherein if doctor writes a certain medicine and then chemist has it with certain other the same salt with certain other provider, maybe Cipla का नहीं है, मेरे पास रेनबैक्सी का है, लेकिन वो आपका इससे 50% पर है, तो लोग शायद रेनबैक्सी का ले लेंगे if it's the same salt and if it is not a life-saving drug. So that comes under product elasticity. Then you should have a revenue target, of course, in your business, because that target actually helps you determine that what pricing you should keep so that you will achieve that revenue target in a year or in 6 months or in 3 years timeline. You also need to keep in mind the branding part, because you will not be willing to dilute your brand. Let's say, let's take an example of iPhone. आईफोन का हो सकता है रेवेन्यू टारगेट कुछ भी होगा, प्रोडक्ट इलास्टिसिटी होगी, कॉस्ट भी काफ़ी है, लेकिन हो सकता है कि वो ये नहीं सोचेंगे कि मुझे वॉल्यूम गेम खेलना है. आई डोंट वांट टू एक्चुअली सेल इट टू 10,000 पीपल एट लेसर प्राइस. आई एम हैप्पी टू सेल इट टू ओनली 1,000 पीपल because I don't want to dilute the brand quotient or the brand identity in the market. It should be treated as a sophisticated or premium brand in the market. So काफ़ी लोग जो आईफोन थोड़ा सस्ता हुआ था 16 GB वाला वेरिएंट, लोग उसके ऊपर इसलिए टूटे थे बिकॉज ये जो ब्रांड है ये उनके स्टेटस को रेजोनेट करता है, स्टेटस के साथ में उनको ऐसा लगता है, या जिस टेल्स देयर सोशल स्टेटस. So therefore you need to keep branding in mind while you are setting up the pricing part. Micromax is a classic example. Micromax हमेशा से चाहता था कि वो अफोर्डेबल कैटेगरी में आए. या क्लासिक एग्जांपल इज टाटा नैनो. सो टाटा नैनो का कभी ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं था कि यार इसका ऐसा ब्रांड नहीं होना चाहिए कि लोग इसको काफ़ी लो एंड समझे. दे आर ओके विद दैट बिकॉज दे जस्ट वांटेड a very kind of relatively less capable people, financially capable people, to afford a car. So therefore it is important. Now again, kind of there are pricing strategies which is underpricing or overpricing. So this is again kind of what we were discussing about iPhone. So like AirPod. So AirPod of iPhone is approximately 25,000 or so. And then there could be a kind of JBL as well. Then there are other OnePlus and all those things which are available at 5,000. Now you might not be able to very well differentiate between the quality of sound in Apple's AirPod and then OnePlus. I'm sure there must be kind of something, but not very appreciable difference. But still, company would not be willing to sell it at underprice. Company would still be fine with overpricing because they want Apple to be treated as a premium brand with which people would be able to feel proud if they have product from that brand. And not everyone would be able to afford it. Otherwise, if everyone can afford it, then it's no longer a premium brand, which is what happening to Apple as well to some extent right now. Because purchase power has gone high in India and the prices of mobile phone are still, kind of, they are not inflated with that to that extent. Sure, brand positioning. Okay, Preetham, did you ask something around brand positioning? Or did you just mention this part as brand positioning?
I think that's brand positioning, right?
Right.
What you're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah, that is brand positioning, right. And underpricing, again, kind of, we have a lot of examples, like, even forget about, even talk about, big bazaars, their own, they actually started creating their own packets along with certain other regular brands in the market like HUL and PNG. And what they did, they used to sell it at very relatively quite low price, and then they used to enjoy good volume through them. Right. So these are the couple of pricing strategy that generally, kind of brands follow. Now, this is one example that you can see wherein you are saying that this is available at this price. So it is more like discounted thing. And here actually you are not showing this part, the discount part. You are just selling it this way. Now the point is, if you show it this way, in that case, this will leave better impact on the consumer psyche, consumer mindset. कि यार लोगों को लगेगा 43,000 वाला मुझे सिर्फ इतने का मिल रहा है, and I should be happy about it, therefore I should be buying it. Now at the same time, when I show only this, there is no base price attached, that this is at 17,799. But if they would have written like from 30,000 to this, then probably people would have bought with more gleefully. So these are all different kind of marketing strategies which companies play with to get maximum orders. Now this Netflix pricing is there, wherein actually they show, kind of all these things. So they are actually trying to cater multiple segments at the same time. So people who generally do not have TVs and all available, like usually it happens with maybe bachelors and all, but still they would like to binge watch Netflix series. Number one, they have a lot of time. Number two is that they just want to buy it from FOMO, because a lot of people in their offices and maybe colleges keep discussing about different Netflix shows. And if they have not seen that, then they feel like, they are missing out on something. So therefore they have this mobile which is very, very popular. At the same time, they know that people, kind of Netflix is a premium product as well, and therefore this premium for the ultra HD TV. And at the same time, you can see the difference in the number of screens you watch at a time. So the point is, when you have bought premium, in that case, you'll get that luxury of you can watch it at four, kind of sets at a time. And therefore, a lot of people use it on the sharing basis as well. But the point is, Netflix pricing is in such a way that they try and cover different segments of the market at the same time. But initially, they started with only these. Right? So again, as I mentioned initially, that you have to start with a target segment to start with. And thereafter, you understand the market, and then you test the market if there is some other also segment which you can tap on. And then you roll it out to that market. Like mobile, I think around, it's been 1 year, I think, Ritik, right? Like we discussed in during one of our session, maybe around 8 months, when Netflix offered free 1 day or 2 days Netflix watch for all users, for all mobile users. It's more like try and buy model. So yep. Now this, kind of how this discount play with our mind. So India, kind of this case study came, I think 3-4 years back. Like India is a very, very price sensitive country, unlike USA. In US, people are very loyal to brand, and therefore, even while Amazon, you think that is the biggest player in the market, but in US, Walmart actually is a market leader when it comes to e-commerce. Overall e-commerce, I'm talking about even physical stores, overall sales. It's not only about digital. So Amazon only occupies around 25% of market share of entire e-commerce sales in USA, whereas Walmart actually occupies a much bigger share in that. So the point is that people over there are more loyal to the brand with which they do the shopping with. They have more trust on Walmart. So even if Amazon is selling something at $5 or $10 less, even then people would go and buy it from Walmart. Whereas in India, it's entirely different. People only trust on whichever brand is providing you certain requirements. Number one is, of course, price. So if you are getting something on Amazon at 5,000 rupees and the same piece is available in Flipkart at 4,800, you would buy from Flipkart. Even if you have bought from Amazon so far, only from Amazon. Now, considering that, like e-commerce sales during first week of festive season, Like this is the amount, 32% to Amazon, 68% to Flipkart Group. So this is how the share has changed. So Flipkart Group and Amazon accounted for over 90% of overall online GMV in week first of festive sales year. So they collectively actually barged out or covered 90% of the market share. And then in 2020, kind of you can see like this has grown. So these are ET Tech screenshots which has been put here. Now the important factor, that how to price your products. Deciding raise or lower price, like companies do keep on increasing prices or lower down the prices. Let's say Tata Sky, you might be having that subscription, and they keep on playing with the prices earlier, but now they have more like stabilized, but they still raise prices for certain different channels at times, depending on the amount of traction to those channels, plus how much amount they need to pay to those channels to show it on Tata Sky box. So now, what are the important questions that you need to answer in order to decide if you should lower your price or raise your price? What the market is willing to pay. This is $1 million question, and this is no easy question to answer. So you need to understand that what the market is willing to pay. For this, you do certain research. You check your competitors, like what is the price that your competitor has set for a similar product of their brand, and what amount of overlap you have from the मार्केट पर्सपेक्टिव, लाइक टारगेट सेगमेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, कि अब एरियल को लगता है और आपके लेट्स से सर्फ एक्सेल को लगता है, दोनों को लगता है कि उनका सेम मार्केट सेगमेंट है, तो दोनों एक दूसरे के अगर सेम प्रोडक्ट, दोनों वॉशिंग पाउडर अगर प्रोडक्ट है, दोनों ही आपकी वॉशिंग मशीन के लिए बने हैं, सो इन दैट केस दे विल प्रोबब्ली लुक टू ईच अदर. So what the market is willing to pay, that question you need to answer. Then comes how your company and products are perceived in the market. Again, the same positioning part, like kind of Preetham also suggested. That means that you need to understand that what is the perception of your product and your company there in the market. Let's say this case of this Patanjali. So there, kind of it is popular maybe amongst those customers as well who are little below middle class, and therefore Patanjali is not being treated as a premium product in the market. और वही उनका motive भी था. They just want to actually acquire volume. They wanted to play volume game. And now that is why they are not treated as a very premium product, and therefore the pricing of them, of those products, should be accordingly. अगर अपने पतंजलि जो आपका रिफाइंड लेट से अगर उसको 500 का कर देगा, जैसे आपके ऑलिव ऑयल्स या आपके बड़े ब्रांड्स होते हैं, then probably people won't buy that. So that is there. Now what your competitor charge, again as we kind of discussed above, like you need to keep an eye on the pricing of your competitors. Now, whether the product is highly visible and frequently shopped and compared. So you need to understand that if a product is frequently shopped, if it's an FMCG thing or it's once in a while thing, maybe in a kind of washing machine, which you buy not daily, it's probably once in a while, and therefore you can place by putting some kind of some features which differentiates, maybe some digital look and feel, or maybe touch, all those things, or maybe kind of 3-year warranty. So all those things you may use. But then there are frequently shopped product. Let's say Maggie. In that case, Maggie is a frequently shopped product. And while a lot of people have actually fan following for Maggie due to its taste, and it's already there in the market since quite a while. And then there are kind of a new product which comes to the market. Now in that case, you need to make sure that the pricing part should not be that much that Maggie is just too expensive as compared to new product. So what generally people do, or what generally kind of these FMCGs have done, they try and reduce the volume of it. Like classic example is chips. It was there earlier 45 gram or 50 gram for 10 rupees. Now it is, then they reduced it to 48 gram, because they think that if we increase the price from 10 to 12, or maybe 10 to 11, in that case people might not purchase it because people won't have 1 rupees change, and people, all of a sudden people think that it is expensive. So therefore what they do, that they reduce the size of it from 50 to 48 gram or 45 gram, and people are still happy. They do not realize this part very clearly, that they are getting less amount of chips now. But yeah, these are all strategies. Then comes estimated volume of product you can sell. This is super important, as we also discussed. You need to understand that what amount of volume of product you can sell. If we are talking about Apple iPhone, in that case, you can potentially sell to only a certain set of users who have certain set of purchase power, and therefore you need to keep an eye. At the same time, if you're Micromax, and if on one single product you only earn 100 rupees as margin, even then, since you can sell maybe 1 CR products in a year, therefore the overall revenue that you'll be getting, or the overall margin or profit that you'll be getting is 100 CR, and you should be happy, and you are happy about that. So this is important to understand, that what is the estimated volume of product that you can sell. Now the other pieces are actual product cost, including labor and cost of marketing and selling your product. This is more like cost of product, overall cost that you incur. So you need to keep a hand, because then only you can decide that what amount if you would earn in a year, then you will be able to do break even. Then operating expenses, which is more like supply chain and all, because kind of you'll be kind of shifting, you'll be giving it to the distributors, and then for that you'll be using your vehicles and all. So all those things, operating expenses, come into picture. If you'll be using your own vehicle for the logistics, or you'll be tying up with a company, and all those things are there. Then of course you'll be starting with taking some loan. It's not like that the company always run debt free. So if you want to set up machinery and all, you'll take loan from the market or from the banks, and in that case, you will be paying interest as well. So you need to understand that what amount of payment that you'll need to make towards that loan and all. Then salaries, return on capital will be there, and then capital for future expansion. If you want to expand in future, then when are you planning to expand next? Maybe you are saying like after 3 years, I'll go to tier 2 cities as well. And then you have a plan that tier 2 cities, if you want to go, then these all cities you want to go. And if you want to go to these cities, then this is the amount that you would need to invest so that you can expand. And then you keep that also in mind, and depending on that you create your pricing strategy, कि 3 साल बाद मेरे पास इतना पैसा हो कि मैं 70% मार्केट से लोन लूं और 30% मेरे पास खुद का हो पैसा, सो दैट मैं एक्सपेंशन प्लान अपना एग्जीक्यूट कर सकूं. So now these are your kind of couple of strategies that they do, like exchange offer is there. Okay, and then EMI is also there, EMI option. People keep that as well, so that people feel comfortable. Sorry, so that people feel comfortable that they can purchase. It's more like pseudo purchase power, which is kind of a term which has been coined lately, that it's a pseudo purchase power which you make people believe that they can do that. And that's exactly what Ritik also mentioned, when he mentioned credit card, that's a pseudo purchase power at times, because you are always in debt. But the point is, since you have it available, and since you want to kind of purchase something, therefore you tend to buy it even if you cannot afford it.
Guys, I just want to add one thing over here, Puneet sir. Like, guys, have you ever go and like in an Apple store, or आपने iPhone लिया हो या फिर कोई भी Apple का product लिया हो, you gonna find out कि जब आप, like, as I come from a typical baniya background, typical baniya mindset, so we don't go for credit cards, and we don't go for loans and anything like that. So like, I have seen this thing that I'm giving money in one shot. I'm getting the mobile phone iPhone 11 at 54 something, and a person who's actually buying from SDFC card, he's getting a 6,000 of discount or something like that, right? And he's actually using his credit card. He's not going to pay in a one shot. So in our world, what we do is we actually give discount to the people who are giving us a payment in one shot, right? Versus not in terms of installments. But now then Apple is actually understanding this psychology, and these guys are actually offering a huge discounts on a credit card, because they know that अगर आपको टेस्ट लगा दिया उन्होंने, they're gonna be selling or maybe upselling them their a lot of product, right? So iPhone के साथ वो आपको हेड एयरपॉड्स भी बेच देंगे, आपको एप्पल वॉच भी बेच देंगे, आई वॉच भी बेच देंगे, and that's how they actually make money, right? So these are the also the like a pricing strategies. Ultimately these are the also the marketing strategies which they follow. Like one shot में अगर आप देना चाहते हो, आपको उतना ही पेमेंट देना पड़ेगा, बट इफ यू आर ऑप्टिंग फॉर सम कार्ड, यू आर गेटिंग अ डिस्काउंट. कोई इसको एक्सप्लेन कर सकता है ये वाइबल है कि नहीं है, और ये कितनी अच्छी स्ट्रैटेजी है? एनी वन ऑफ यू गाइस?
It's a good strategy.
This strategy also helps in increasing business for the banks and credit card lenders. क्रेडिट कार्ड,
हम्म, हम्म, हम्म। अगर
क्योंकि उससे
मैं तो वन शॉट पेमेंट कर रहा हूँ ना अक्षता आपको, वन शॉट में तो मुझे सस्ता मिलना चाहिए, बट मुझे सस्ता मिलता नहीं है। बट जो बंदा क्रेडिट कार्ड्स के थ्रू दे रहा है, ही इज गेटिंग एडिशनल डिस्काउंट, ऑल्सो ही इज गेटिंग अ लॉट ऑफ वाउचर्स और पता नहीं क्या क्या उनको दिल जाता है। बट अगर हम वन शॉट पेमेंट कर रहे हैं, हमें कोई डिस्काउंट नहीं है, ऐसा क्यों?
There's like incentive from both sides, right? The bank also gets money from the credit card
अरे
users,
अरे यार, अगर मैं
interest.
50,000 का फोन कर रहा हूँ, राइट, और मैं
Mhm.
50,000 का फोन दे रहा हूँ और सामने वाला बंदा मुझे 50,000 रुपये अपफ्रंट दे रहा है, आई कैन गिव हिम अ डिस्काउंट ऑफ 1,000 और 2,000 रुपीज। कोई मुझसे कहता है कि आपको मैं 50,000 रुपये, लेट्स अज्यूम दैट मैं आपको 10 मंथ्स में दूंगा, 5,000 कर करके। सो वो बेटर ऑप्शन है मेरे लिए, या फिर वो 50,000 एक शॉर्ट में दे रहा
But
है? ऐसा
also
क्यों करता हूँ
interest
मैं
भी
डिस्काउंट?
रहता है ना, and
ऐसा
from
क्यों?
that
बट
interest also you are getting a cut
हाँ
from the
हाँ
bank,
हाँ हाँ
etc.
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
yeah, and also in if there's like if there's a population of 10 people,
हम्म
only one person is giving upfront cash,
हम्म
uh, that is not a great idea. Like if they are customer oriented, they'll
हम्म
see what the majority population is trying to get, what facility. If majority of people are ready
हम्म
to take it in EMIs,
हम्म
then obviously they'll go for that priority first
हम्म
and give the discount offer as well, because they have also tied up with
हम्म
banks. So
हम्म।
there must be some contract between the bank and Apple as well, like getting them a certain amount of business to the banks as well.
That's
So
the
they
you.
are getting those, the discount which they are offering to the
Uh-huh.
customer
Uh-huh.
can that profit can be gauged through the banks to which they are tying up for these discount offers.
And I think that's the beauty of overpricing. Like you already overpriced the product,
Hmm.
right? And now your name is actually selling, and you don't like you don't get any kind of a burden on yourself that okay, inventory मेरी बची है. अगर inventory बची है, you can actually can sell to Amazon, and they can actually can go, run an offer or something, and people gonna buy the product automatically. ऐसा होता नहीं होता है कि अभी जो बिग बिलियन सेल्स और ये सब अमेज़न की जो प्राइम सेल्स
Hmm.
होती हैं, उसमें क्या होता है? व्हाट दे
इन्वेंट्री जो बची रहती है
हाँ,
उस पे ही सेल
हाँ,
लगता है ज्यादा
हाँ।
करके टाइम।
ये क्यों होता है ऐसा?
हाँ।
बिकॉज़ बिकॉज़ यू नो व्हाट, बहुत लोग ऐड टू कार्ट में आईफ़ोन 11 रख लेते हैं, आईफ़ोन 12 रख लेते हैं।
हम्म।
एंड दे नो कि अगर मैं इतना तो अगर डालूँगा ऑफ़र, तो इतना तो धंधा निकल ही जाएगा। क्योंकि ऐड टू कार्ट दे नो एट बैक एंड कि कितना ऐड टू कार्ट लोगों ने किया हुआ है।
हम्म।
गाइस, समझ रहे हो आप लोग?
यस।
सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट ओवर प्राइसिंग स्ट्रैटेजी यार। अगर आपने ओवर प्राइस प्रोडक्ट पहले से ही जो 25,000 का फोन है मैक्सिमम, उसको आप 50,000 का डबल का बेच रहे हो, तो यू डोंट केयर अबाउट द कस्टमर ना। आपको तो वो कस्टमर चाहिए जो यार अच्छा ठीक है, इवन इफ ही इज गोइंग टू पे इन इंस्टॉलमेंट्स, तो हम मेरा मेरा क्या जा रहा है, मैं तो पहले से इतना ओवर प्राइस कर रखा है प्रोडक्ट, राइट? एंड दैट्स द ब्यूटी है अल्टीमेटली गाइस, है ना? सो आप ये देख रहे हो सामने सामने ऑफर 68,300 का और ये सब दबा के चले
Product
जाता हूँ।
needs to sell, right? If
हाँ,
it doesn't, like LG phones, then it's don't know.
नहीं मतलब वही प्रोडक्ट, हॉट शॉट प्रोडक्ट मार्केट में बिकते हैं ना। दे
Yeah.
नो, दे at back end they know everything, right? So even if you are searching on Facebook or even on Flipkart, कहीं भी सर्च कर रहे हो, your data is always leaked in the market, open market में। सबको पता है कि आप क्या सर्च कर रहे हो, क्या चीज़ें हैं। एंड वी एज अ पर्सन जो बिजनेस करता है, वो डेटा खरीदता है लोगों से। लाइक Amazon और ये फ्लिपकार्ट, दे नो दैट पीपल गोना बाय जस्ट बिकॉज दे उन्होंने विश लिस्ट में बना रखा है अपनी। Let's assume that they have a wish list of maybe 10,000 users, and 10,000 users में wish list, let's assume that Apple AirPods हैं, right? So उनको पता है AirPods हैं Apple के। पीपल अगर हम कुछ डालेंगे ऑफर, एप्पल को बोलेंगे बल्क में उठाते हैं, तो कम से कम 5,000 तो बेच ही डालेंगे यार। 50% लोग तो लेंगे। सो ऐसे ही होता है। That's the thing, right? So we are also going to cover it up. I know the back end process और everything, तो हम कल के सेशन में वो भी कवर करेंगे।
The link I just shared now.
हम्म
Yeah, the phone was MRP is like 80,000,
हम्म।
and it came around 30,000 today morning, and it's already sold out.
आपको पता है
So
guys,
yeah, the same plan.
I just going to tell you one thing, right? If Flipkart is selling the phone for 499 or something, 47,999, फ्लिपकार्ट बेच रहा है आपको, मैं इससे सस्ते में भी किसी और वेबसाइट पे दिखा दूंगा। बट यू नो व्हाट, यू विल नेवर गोइंग टू बाय फ्रॉम XYZ वेबसाइट। because you know ये trust factor भी बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है, right? So I think pricing के अंदर trust, loyalty और सब कुछ goodwill सब कुछ mention होती है, and we going to cover it up, right? So yeah, yes Puneet sir, let's do one thing. Puneet sir, इसके आगे slides हैं क्या हमारे पास, या बस wrap up है ये session? Hello.
I guess he's
Said
not
he'll
here. Yeah.
he'll be back, right?
No, I'm
अच्छा,
back. I'm back.
अच्छा, okay. Hi Puneet sir, so
Hi.
this is the last slide or do
The
we have?
last slide, yeah. Actually, kind of, I just need 3 more minutes, 4 more minutes, if
Sure.
people are available.
Sure.
So guys, actually, kind of just want to share five. There are total 5 kinds of pricing strategies broadly, which are not listed here. I'll just kind of voice it out. One is the cost plus pricing. That means you simply calculate your cost कि यार कितने का आया, उसके ऊपर आप एक मार्कअप ऐड करते हो कि इसके ऊपर मुझे कितना मार्कअप या कितना मार्जिन ऐड करना है मेरा प्रॉफिट. ठीक है, आपने पेन खरीदा, आपने पेन बनाया, पेन आपका है, लेट्स से आप क्लासिक एग्जांपल है आपका ये है कोक. लेट्स से आपने बोला कि आपको सिर्फ you only kind of spent around 2 rupees per 300 ml bottle, and then the bottle price is including bottles price, and then approximately 7 rupees per bottle for the marketing or for the branding given to Amir Khan and all these things, all these kind of celebrities. Then you say that kind of 2 rupees you'll be spending on broadcasting these ads across different channels, and then you say कि यार इसके बाद मेरा अराउंड 11 रुपीज़ टोटल बन रहा है, और मुझे 2 रुपये मुझे एक्स्ट्रा ऐड करना है अपने मार्कअप प्राइस के, then you will sell it for 13 rupees. So that's a cost plus pricing model. Then comes competitive pricing. So there actually, as the name suggests, setting a pricing which is based on what competition is charging. Okay, so that is it. And then comes the value-based pricing. So in the long run, this is the target that people would like to kind of keep, that in the long run it should be value-based pricing. So which is setting a price based on how much the customer believes what you are selling is worth, and that includes the premiumness as well. So let's say अगर आपको एप्पल को लगता है ना कि यार मैं इसको 80,000 में बेच सकता हूँ, क्योंकि जबकि मतलब मेरी जो कॉस्ट है ओवरऑल वो मेरी सिर्फ 35,000 है या 40,000 है, I can have 50% markup, but people will be able to afford it because the quality I'm delivering and the brand value that I'm delivering is worthy, and they'll find it. So then probably 80,000 is also sensible. The other one is, fourth one is price skimming, which is setting a high price and lowering it as the market evolves. So generally companies do that. Recently there are robos in the market which have come up. जैसे अब आपके पैंडेमिक वगैरह आपका भी चला था ना, तो ना जो बाई वगैरह आती थी वो कम हो गया था काफ़ी ज़्यादा. अब लोगों को घर में अपने झाड़ू ये सब लगाना ही, ऑफ कोर्स. सो इन दैट केस व्हाट वी हैड गॉन टू, दे हैड गॉन टू robots and all. So then there is a company iRobot which used to sell robots earlier at around 60-70,000. Now they are selling it at around 35-40,000 and even lesser. So that is price skimming. Market has evolved, that the demand has been bloomed further, and therefore they had reduced the price. Then comes penetration pricing, which is the last, which is setting a low price to enter a competitive market and raising it later. Now probably a new robo company comes into a market, and they are seeing that iRobo, which is already popular brand, they have made it available at 35,000. So if I'll also launch it at 35,000, then people would not buy it probably. They will go for a prescribed, kind of a prestigious brand like iRobo. So then companies actually start with 20,000 maybe, which maybe kind of companies selling maybe neck to neck, or maybe with a profit of only 100 or 1,000 rupees, which otherwise they would have wanted maybe 10,000. And maybe over a period of time, as their brand builds in the market, then they increase the price from 20,000 to 30,000. So these are top 5 pricing strategies that you may come across. So yep, so this is what I wanted to share. I think Ritik, you will be doing some exercise around guesstimates, right, tomorrow?
Yeah, guesstimates tomorrow, right? So guys, I just want to understand one more thing from your end. Are you comfortable, or like are you available around 11 o'clock in morning? If we if we schedule the session tomorrow at morning 11 o'clock, because it's gonna be a lengthy session again, guys. It's gonna be time taking one. So I just want to have a fresh mind, and again, that's the main concern. guys.
I'm in.
I'm
Yeah,
there.
no issues.
कौन कह रहा है after 1 p.m.? प्रतिमा after 1 p.m. कह रही है, अच्छा ठीक है. Anyone else?
Yeah,
अच्छा
I could
प्रतिमा आप अटेंड नहीं कर सकते क्या प्रतिमा? 11 बजे देख लो यार, if it possible from your end प्रतिमा. बिकॉज ना फिर वो एक ना स्पार्क नहीं रहता, एक दिमाग ना उसी टाइम, बिकॉज इट्स गोना बी अबाउट प्रैक्टिकल, इट्स गोना बी अबाउट कैलकुलेशन एंड एवरीथिंग. तो कैलकुलेशन वो सब चलेगा. It's okay with any time after 10 in the morning, right? So let's do one thing, guys. We're gonna be doing it 11 o'clock exact, right? Also, I'm gonna be sharing some problem statements. और ये एक last problem statement इसमें slide में भी है, sir. If you can just
Right, right.
so like it's a normal problem statement. You are a product manager of Amazon Kindle and need to increase the subscription in Indian market. Come up with a fresh pricing strategy for the current product and do your own competitor analysis. मतलब that's how you need to do it, right? So मतलब Amazon Kindle आपने सबने देखा होगा, सुना भी होगा, यूज नहीं किया होगा,
Hmm.
right? So, but
Yes.
ultimately Amazon Kindle is also give you subscription models. एंड मैंने तभी Amazon Kindle यूज़ किया है इसके अंदर, अदरवाइज मैं बहुत सारे सब्सक्रिप्शन मॉडल यूज़ कर सकता था. बट नाउ जस्ट सी अबाउट दैट, ओके Amazon Kindle अगर बुकिश बुक कौन पढ़ेगा, कौन टारगेट मार्केट रहेगा, मार्केट साइजिंग क्या होगी, जस्ट एनालाइज इट. एंड वी गोना बी डिस्कसिंग टुमारो ये वाला एक ये वाला केस स्टडी. ऑल्सो वी गोना बी टेकिंग अप सम प्रैक्टिकल एग्जाम्पल्स जो कि आपको मार्केट साइजिंग के बारे में बताएंगे, जो आपको प्राइसिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज के बारे में बताएंगे. एंड ऑल्सो वी गोना बी इंक्लूड सम realistic real time case studies where we going to apply the case studies, where we apply the case studies, where we apply the same frameworks and gonna be doing analysis कि किस तरीके से हमारे रिजल्ट निकल रहे हैं उसके. सो इट्स गोना बी इंटरेक्टिव वन. अगेन नोट पैड रखना अपने साथ, और बहुत टाइम कंज्यूमिंग और बहुत ना एनर्जी कंज्यूमिंग होगा. आई जस्ट वांट टू मेक श्योर कि ना ये सुबह 11 बजे होके 12-2 बजे तक खींच जाए, और मतलब 1 बजे तक चला जाए, एंड हम अपने घर हो जाएं सारे लोग. So so let's do one thing, guys. We're gonna be doing it at 11 o'clock in the morning. And guys, this is a question. Amazon Kindle है आपके पास, increase करनी है. You are a product manager. Indian market है, Indian market में books बहुत कम लोग पढ़ते हैं, और books आपको भी पता है. Indian market में scenario ये है कि लोगों को hard copies बहुत पसंद आती है, right? There are very very less churn of people who are actually want to get ऑनलाइन वाला चीज, राइट? और वो पीडीएफ के थ्रू पढ़ सकते हैं, मतलब डिजिटल
Hmm.
प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू. देयर आर वेरी लेस नंबर ऑफ पीपल, बट अल्टीमेटली मे बी यू decrease the price of subscription. Maybe the people start purchasing the Amazon Kindle. Maybe you can actually can offer some offers to them. Maybe you can do anything and just increase the like subscription rate of Amazon Kindle. Maybe you go for audio books, maybe you go for podcast or something. बहुत बहुत varieties हैं, कर सकते हैं हम लोग increase, because as a product manager, that's the beauty we need to have. So yeah, so guys, we are wrapping up the session. Thank you so much for attending it. Thank you so much, Puneet sir, for giving such an insightful session around product and around the pricing and marketing analysis. Guys, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, हम इस पे 10 वीक पढ़ा सकते हैं मार्केट एनालिसिस प्राइसिंग के ऊपर, तब भी खत्म नहीं होगा. वी मेक श्योर वी नीड टू कवर इट अप. अल्टीमेटली हमने बहुत मोटा मोटा चीजें कवर करी है. कल के सेशन में भी गोना मेक श्योर कि हम आपको प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपोजर बहुत देंगे. अंडरस्टैंड मार्केट एनालिसिस, प्राइसिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज जितना पढ़ लोगे, जितना कर लोगे, तब भी लड़ाइयाँ होती हैं. आज भी मेरी टीम में लड़ाई होती है प्राइसिंग के लिए, कि क्या प्राइस होना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए, कैसे होना चाहिए. एंड यू नो व्हाट गाइस, ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा टफ डिसीजन होता है किसी प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस डिसाइड करना. और जब वो मार्केट साइज इतना बड़ा है आपका कि जहाँ पे आपको बहुत बड़े बड़े कॉम्पिटिटर के साथ स्ट्रेट कॉम्पीट करना पड़ रहा है, इन दैट वे इट्स गोना मेक वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू सर्वाइव, बिकॉज प्राइसिंग ही ऐसा तरीका है जो आपका प्रोडक्ट को सर्वाइव करवाएगा, राइट? कंपनी को सर्वाइव करेगा. सो अल्टीमेटली आपने कहा कि आपने प्रोडक्ट तो अच्छा बना लिया, टेक टीम हैंडल कर ली, सब कुछ हैंडल कर लिया, बट आप प्राइसिंग सेट नहीं कर पाए, तो सारी चीज़ वेस्ट हो जाएगी. सो ऑन दैट नोट गाइज, इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. बहुत लोग ये पूछते हैं इंटरव्यू में भी. So we make sure we're gonna be focusing more towards understanding about the pricing and everything, and we're gonna be doing the session tomorrow at 11 o'clock morning.
Is there a session tomorrow night?
नहीं मॉर्निंग,
Okay.
अच्छा नहीं,
Okay.
हाँ टुमारो
Okay.
मॉर्निंग. आप उससे कल कल वाले जो आपका प्रैक्टिकल सेशन हो जाएगा, उससे आपका दिमाग इतना ज़्यादा हो जाएगा कि फिर आप और सेशन नहीं अटेंड कर पाओगे, राइट? सो या guys, wrapping up the session. Thank you so much, Puneet sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the session, guys.
Thanks, Ritik. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night, guys. Take care. Stay safe. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.